Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. You already know what time it is. Day 2 of the grand finals of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Female Professional International Women's Tournament, brought to you and sponsored by Tencent and North American Scrims. And we have got the usual routine, 6 rounds of action, mayhem, and strategy coming your way today. But first and foremost, if any of you aren't acquainted as to who I am, I'm RedEyes, your ever lovable and adorably cuddly caster, and no more introductions needed. We're kicking things off with the very first map ever introduced to this game. I'm of course speaking about Erangel. We all know it's the one that our participants should by far be most rehearsed on, most synergized, and most prepared for. So let's see what sort of flight path we're actually going to be working with today. All right, not a good, not the ideal flight path to start off with, to say the very least. It is definitely going to limit our participants' drop options right off the bat. We're not going to be seeing any of those Zarki, North George, or Kameshki drops, but we still have plenty of compound cities and structures in this lower region. So I do think that it could lead to a more action-packed beginning half of the match, potentially just due to the kind of quirkiness of the path. But looking at this new safe zone and where it's formed around the northern formation of the map, it actually might end up being kind of one of those first 2 zones spent positioning into this new safe zone. So yeah, actually already we're seeing the majority of the droppers getting that late drop in there. So it's pretty clever there on their end. We're going to go ahead and tune in to what looks to be maybe XNINE and Tres Ranchos potentially dropping close to each other on the southern portion of Yasnaya. And we also have a couple other potential areas of contestation. As you can see, we got a member of the KR Lionesses straying from the path, so to speak, and getting a little uncomfortably close to GTHESIS on the eastern portion of, actually, far east of Yasnaya here. But here, on our own perspective right here, we've got the DARKSIDEKNIGHT uncomfortably close here to Bazoomy God. It spells trouble for Bazoomy because he does not have much in terms of weaponry. Only that melee, the poor guy. Or poor lady, my apologies. Rough start there when you're not able to get the proper weaponry. But as we all know to be the case of PUBG Mobile, that's part of the nature of the game. You gotta be ready to, as soon as you touch down, be in quick loot, and this is not an ideal area for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying things at a higher resolution today. We're going to be trying them at 2K at 90 FPS here, seeing how that works extensively on the emulator. So if we have any issues, we'll always restart. We've got the alt cam set up and ready to go if need be. It's going to be an awesome day of PUBG Mobile esports. Hope you're all enjoying your day so far, and by all means, if you're here rooting for a specific team, let me know in the chat. If you're going to be nice enough to support the stream, I will absolutely be nice enough to tune into the people that you're here to see, assuming that there is no other leaning points of action that are a bit more concerning on the screen. I think we are left with a bit of a standstill for this initial drop. For it being as clustered as it is, when you zoom in a little bit here, this, you know, GOEXIA and members of Silently, between Milta and Milta Power, are one of the closest 2 teams on the map. The only other would be this potential love triangle forming on the, I'd say about the midpoint, the equator of this safe zone between GOEXIA, Tres Ranchos, and the northbound threat in GTHESIS. I don't see it being an immediate altercation with that. However, with the bad blood between DSK and Major Pride off of the first 30 seconds of Phase 1, I wouldn't be all too surprised if Major Pride tried to sneak in a retaliatory takedown on DSK. But that would require a good eye of Overwatch from, it would have to be Saunders or Satanova. And realistically, Satanova doesn't seem to have that geographical high ground, but Saunders does. But as to be the nature of PUBG Mobile, we are often working in the large map schemes, and large maps are going to be the majority of the maps that we're working with today. So it's understandable that we're going to have these moments of downtime in the, or the potential for moments of downtime, pockets of silence, and in between time, but that always translates to a more action-packed and climactic mid-or-end game. However, given the nature of how yesterday went, just non-stop edge-of-your-seat gameplay from start to finish, not a single match of real downtime, I gotta say I have really high expectations for some high-intensity action and altercations basically from the midpoint of this game onwards. I think it's safe to assume, especially after the nature of day one standings yesterday, that teams would be playing a little bit cautiously in round one. However, as instinctual as that feels, I do want to go ahead and just really quickly show this. There is such a outlier in terms of points here. So a lot of these teams don't have that luxury to really have much idle time. They need to be out here seeking eliminations as well as successfully getting placement points. For a good chunk of these teams, downtime isn't going to be much of an option. We have 6 games remaining today, and so, every match counts. And one match of downtime could mean 5 matches of absolute non-stop chaos to try to make up and alleviate for that. All right, well, Tres Ranchos, just sort of assessing the field here. Here we have Ollie, who was just an absolute unstoppable force in that play in Sanhok yesterday. I believe it was a squad wipe by Ollie. I'm not entirely positive, but wasn't it the 1v4 Sanhok stage 1 round 3 where Ollie just annihilated an entire team with one gun, a Tommy gun, luckily with that extended. I have high expectations that she'll be doing a little more of that today. Catching eyes on the talk of the town, honestly, the bull of the pen, all things considered. The MADBULLS have unleashed an absolute berserker strategy upon the entire player base in this event. Just annihilating the competition, literally almost doubling second place's standing in terms of points. So they are the queens of the hill, the ones that need to be knocked out of the, almost essentially to take out MADBULLS in, or at least to balance and equate out any real chance of a team being able to take that title from them. It would require not just a bad game on MADBULLS end, but numerous bad games, meaning that if the rest of the playing field truly wants to make this impact and take MADBULLS out, make it so they aren't the for sure leading, setup for winning this tournament, you're gonna have to learn where they're playing and drop early and eliminate them before they can get properly equipped, because as they showed yesterday, every single member on the MADBULLS team is comfortable in close quarter confrontation as a solo, as well as with the solidified team unit. On top of that, I mean, just their ability to ride the confidence and momentum factor. Once they built that initial momentum, it was like a snowball being rolled down a hill, just gaining more and more weight to it. So the only way to knock the queens off the hill is an early elimination from the match before they can acquire any elimination points. Even if they never acquired placement points in the entire day and did significant elims, it can spell real trouble for the rest of the playing field. So it's not to be taken lightly. All right, we have already got more action on our hands as Tres Ranchos putting outward shots towards members of, is that KR? Yes, it is. KR Lioness coming up to the party here. And as you can see, Kuai off in an outlier's position here, but way off. And interestingly enough, here's ESPORTS in a back flank bound rotation, probably trying to avoid this confrontation from what it looked like. And off in the other end here of Yasnaya, we got none other than XNINE. And give credit to where credit is due. XNINE certainly had a rough day yesterday. Not the start to the event, definitely not the first half to the grand finals that they were hoping for, but they stuck it out and kept playing, kept their head in the game. And I think that is where the most improvement in a professional esports team setting can happen. You don't improve on the days that you're doing well. You're improving on the days that you recognize that you're not doing your best. And so that is why I definitely commend XNINE. I would much rather have a team that doesn't perform at their very best but participates and are good sports in the entire event than a top-tier professional team that would back out immediately once things stopped going well. All right, well, we got Major Pride Saunders working her way, towards members of Galactics. Galactics are clearly a bit preoccupied at the moment with members of the Witchers here. We got Dr. Miami swallowing a little bit of damage there, being taken down to just above half health, but she's not going to be too concerned with that, all things considered. It's still out of the line of sight of the opposition at this point. She's going to just go ahead and focus on looting even before re-healing herself. So where should we be tuning into? It looks like northbound, where the MADBULLS prepare for an altercation with GTHESIS. We could have some action on our hands. And on top of that, we're going to pull up the alt cam, where it looks like members of MUERTE, particularly Matesha, might be due for an aggressive push forward from none other than their opponents in ARTIC ESPORTS. Oh boy. Will it happen? We're hearing shots in the distance here as MADBULLS pull a flank rotation around GTHESIS. Interestingly enough to see that MADBULLS are not out here actively chasing the confrontation. And honestly, in game one, that is extremely smart of them. They are not alleviating any possibility of the remainder of the playing field being able to even these odds. They are saying, hey, we're going to make sure we get those placement points too. And this is, again, the team that absolutely, in terms of confrontations and CQC altercations, these ladies not just dominated yesterday, they turned it into a slaughterhouse. All right, MADBULLS, yeah, here we go. They are going to aggressively push GTHESIS. I withdraw the previous statement. These girls are just too comfortable in their element. Now, here's what I said yesterday. They have to watch out. Don't let that confidence border onto cockiness. And one tap already removed from the equation, reducing MADBULLS down to a 3-piece. But look, it's going to be all-out grenade warfare as Hellfire is thrown in. Ooh, 911 taking a huge load of damage here, but still very much in the equation. But her teammate 649 taking out 911, desperately needs to heal, and she does so in time. I was speaking with her yesterday, and you know, that what I just said about teams improving on the days that they're not recognizing that they're doing their best. I think 911 has so much potential here, and she didn't perform yesterday at the level that she expected. She definitely performed well, but it's very critical. I think we should definitely be keeping eyes on her moving forward. However, a little unfortunate in this situation that it happens to be up against, you know, the final boss of the event, the MADBULLS. And so far, they have lost one member in the process, but acquired 3 elims already, and put themselves in a position where they outnumber the final hope of GTHESIS 3-1. Yep, we got nothing but 2-2-2 here. Clinging to dear life with a Scar L AK-47 combo. And I do want to go ahead and pull up on the alt screen where it looks like GOEXIA RedEye. Oh my god. Y'all are just trolling so hard. I will give GOEXIA's RedEye some screen time, but except she was already taken out. You put the RedEye's name on the brand, and I promise you, that KD will drop. I gotta say, people are wondering, RedEyes, how low is this KD of yours? It is so low that Club Med employees are currently limboing under it. Oh, GOEXIA's holla! A little sneaky snake in the grass, taking Polly of XNINE right out of the equation, reducing him down to a 3-piece. But interestingly enough, a revenge is dished out in the form of a utility, and just like that, sent back to lobby as soon as she acquires that takedown. Looks like Major Pride having at it in the distance. We're going to tune in to Saunders, who's just acquired a takedown on members of DARKSIDEKNIGHT, and another nade onto Geo! Perfectly aimed, and then catching eyes on Beam. And ironically, when Beam gets beamed, that is a tough pill to swallow. And another nade coming in. It's a molly. Does not quite hit the mark. Beam able to readjust herself and positioning just far enough to avoid that molly fire. Let's get it from Saunders' perspective. Beam able to get a couple... It looks like maybe a first aid off and then maybe shot once. Or maybe a couple bandies. I didn't see which. But regardless, a little bit more health to her name than after the initial spray from Saunders. But I don't know if she's going to be able to fully retreat back to her fallen teammate. And Saunders seems to be letting it happen. Oh no, she's pulling a flank rotation down the hill to try to catch an off angle. I like it. Unfortunately for her, Zombie was ready and waiting for that. And then just like that, Major Pride down to a 2-piece with Saunders well, I was going to say too far away, but Satan Nova in hot pursuit, ready to try to put some smoke on her fallen teammate and stick a revive. Maybe no smoke's necessary when you got that tree cover. Where should the next bit of altercations be coming from? I still think we'll be tuning in here just for the time being. It doesn't seem like we're missing anything else on the playing field at the moment. Just a little bit of downtime as we prepare for what looks like it's lining up for a heck of an in-game. We have 46 players still remaining, spread out amongst 13 teams. And literally only Yasnaya for cover. Now, while Yasnaya is extremely, congested, so that means that you could technically have all these teams get some sort of cover in Yasnaya. I don't think that's going to be allotted with the space. I don't think a team like MADBULLS would allow for too many teams to comfortably rest easy there. Looks like Major Pride's Rose in a extremely confident and aggressive push, getting closer and closer to HEARZ Control Esports, catching a nade potentially for Tara, cooking it up preemptively. Not any such luck there. She was hoping Tara was going to be peeking that corner. But if at first you don't succeed, try again, and look what Rose does. Tara is down for the count. Beautifully thrown nade as she quickly aggresses, not wasting a moment. Very eager for that thirst, but swallowing some bullet fire in the process. Retaliates onto Leo Mary with the UMP-45, instant takedown, and now Virgo and Rose up against each other, but Satan Nova coming out with that DBS double barrel shotgun. The CQC monstrosity, the one-shot done shot. All right, well, they're not out of the thick of it yet. And look, Rose aiming outwards away from the remainder of Control Esports. I don't think she knows about Lady. Lady has a real opportunity here. If she can creep up just a little closer. Oh, look at this. De Muerte in a distant, not even a distance altercation. We got Xena of De Muerte pushing up alongside her teammate Kiss. Kiss was taken down, leaving Xena a little bit of an outlier here, but luckily some assistance from the background taking out that member of ARTIC Esports behind her and giving her a little bit more free room here to cook this nade up, aimed outwards at, well, ironically enough, no one remaining there. But Xena doesn't know that. And wow, for a moment I honestly thought she might drive over to Major Pride there. We got Melita of De Muerte just swallowing some distance shots from the, I believe that's actually going to be from Silently. Matesha going to show just how useful these vehicles can be in an open landscape setting here when, you know, geographical cover isn't always afforded. Even with this sniper tower, that little sliver peak could have been problematic, but a nice little dead buggy there blocking a couple extra bullets can't hurt. It can't hurt. Well, Matesha gonna have to heal up here, but ironically enough, if she scooches too much more to the left, she could be, yep, just like that. I was thinking it. That was unfortunate, and I hate to say caster curse, but it was. Oh, wow, and down again. Melita down for the count here, leaving the warrior princess herself as the final remaining hope for De Muerte. Yeah, and that is Major Pride and Silently both keeping pretty close surveillance on this final hope for De Muerte. Not sure how this is going to pan out or how she could possibly escape this scenario unless these altercations that are aimed and focused at her kind of turn their attention towards one another. Regardless, we have got so many things happening on the board. We've got MADBULLS facing off right now, and it looks like whatever happened has already happened. They have eliminated their immediate threat. Yes, it's going to be up against a Galactics member. I believe they just reduced Galactics down to a two-piece of Alan and Jay. All the while, Alan and Jay have numerous threats to worry about, such as the oncoming threat from the Witchers. BBL at the forefront of this push. Alan preparing for an inevitable confrontation. Oh my gosh. And down for the count, that leaves Jay as the final hope. But with a coin in her back pocket, if this nade lands, I mean, doing any minimal damage would take some out. And just like that, Malik down for the count, evening the odds just a little bit. Looks like De Muerte's Matesha, the final hope for her team, has been taken out in the distance. All the while, we've got a little altercation here with DSK Zombie. Oh, well. Sorry about that, Zombie. Zombie pushing forward with literally nothing in terms of health, clinging to the very edge of the dead zone, and Johanna of XNINE says, no ma'am. Back to lobby with you. Well, look at Major Pride. 9 elims, and get this, 8 of these elims are between Saunders and Rose alone. This is a absolute heavy-hitting aggressive team, and Rose is aware of the more immediate concern, which I would imagine, I would hope she's aware of the most immediate concern, Control's Lady. And as you can see, Rose cooking up a nade as we speak. Boom goes the dynamite, all too literally, bombs over Baghdad. And don't pull that thing out unless you plan to bang, said the scripture of the late, great Andre 3000 of Outcast. My goodness, that was accurate. All right, look, he's like MADBULLS caught a little bit of wind here of this altercation, pushing up to pick off the remnants or just to enjoy the safety of this sniper tower, or presumable safety, I should say. Whether or not they know of Rose's location could be an absolute match ruiner for them. Granted, MADBULLS has already performed aggressively enough to get more elims than they realistically need to maintain this monstrously huge gap between themselves and the rest of the playing field. Johanna of XNINE firing down upon Silently, who has to desperately push forward through open space just to avoid that blue zone. All the while, MADBULLS laying out the slaughterhouse. And now Major Pride gonna have to face off with the Bulls themselves, and old daddy saying, Satan Nova, send him back down to the underworld for Satan Nova. That is a rough one. MADBULLS sitting extremely comfortably at 9 elims and at the minimum placement points of 4th. This is not the change in the tides that the rest of the playing field needed to undo this. I guess you got to call it the outlying circumstances that are forming for MADBULL. They realistically, if they just get 2 or 3 elims a match, let's make it more like 4 or 5 elims a match, and never even get a single placement point for the rest of the day, it is still a 40-point deficit behind, or a 40-point gain over second place that needs to be made up. That is just profoundly difficult odds to overcome, meaning that the rest of the playing field, I hope you're hearing this, the only way to prevent MADBULLS from winning is to pursue them at the stage 1 phase. Looks like Saunders stuck in between a rock and a hard place here, and that rock is only a hay bale, and she is out in the middle of an open field clinging to this hay bale and tall grass, but looks like Amaya of MADBULLS may have let her guard down here. This could be a quick error in judgment. Rose taking out Leora, but positioned between Mad Daddy, or probably O-Daddy, and Amaya here. Nade lands on O-Daddy from Rose right then. Oh, it's a UMP takedown. Leora retaliated on almost immediately and sent back to lobby here. So MADBULLS at this point clinging to their final hope in Amaya, but she is responsible for 5 of the team's now 12 elims. And XNINE, you know, what did I say earlier at the beginning of this match? They stuck it out, and that's the teams, those are the teams that I expect to make the most improvement. The teams that don't give up when days aren't going well. And look at this, XNINE at the final stage. This is stage 8. You almost never reach this portion. And look at this, they outnumber the only contender 3-1. This is an entirely different XNINE than we saw yesterday. But, ooh, the caster curses. Amaya lays out bullet fire like a thunderstorm onto Johanna. And, whoa, golly, that was beautiful. XNINE says, no, ma'am. MADBULLS, you may be seeing red, but you can see red with a silver medal around your neck. And just like that, any way you look at it, that's game over, ladies and gentlemen. But what a absolute performance by XNINE in the context of how rough, and honestly, it was to a portion bad luck yesterday. If we remember XNINE at that early stage 1 drop, just being taken out before being able to even acquire loot. I remember that attempt to defend with a pistol. It was, you gotta boil some down to a skill gap, and then some down to, hey, sometimes you don't get the loot you want. But after having that rough of a start, keeping their eye on the prize, and look at how they changed the tides, starting the day off with a gold medal, chicken dinner on the tip of their tongue finish. That is 10 points for the first place, as well as 7 elims, 17-point gain in round 1 alone for them. Now, even if we were to take placement points aside, the MADBULLS put up 13 elims, which is, you know, essentially, it's only, you know, if you take in their placement points as well, they definitely came out the most victorious out of this match. They gained the most points, which is the exact opposite of what the playing field wants. But this is Erangel, and as we know, we are working with different geographies, so let's see what happens when we change up the scenery a bit and migrate over to that dry, wide, open, arid desert, a little destruction in the desert, if you will. I am, of course, speaking of Miramar as we return for round 2 of 6 of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Female Professional International Women's Championships, brought to you and sponsored by Tencent and North American Scrims. In just a few moments. Stick around, we'll be back soon. Alrighty, sorry about that, game over. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round 2 of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League, brought to you and sponsored by Tencent and North American Scrims. This is day 2 of the grand finals, match 2 of 6, and we are doing a little destruction in the desert. First time of the day, and already we know that these ladies came out here for blood. If Erangel has taught us anything, is that these ladies are here for action. So let's see what sort of flight path we are working with. Well, this is gonna harken back to when I first started commentary. This is one of the little things that I've said for years. And so if anyone's seen me commentate and seen this before, my apologies. But this is actually the most ideal flight path possible on Miramar, in my opinion. And the reason I say that, it's not perfectly centralized, but this exact flight path takes you through 2 strings of cities and compounds on each side. So for it being such a wide, vast, open map, this is the most immediate route to most potential drop spot options, more potential dropping points for everyone. That is ideal for the participants. For us, the viewer, though, it could mean a more slower paced beginning. But hey, I said that on match 2 yesterday, and to say I was proven wrong would be an understatement. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see. Well, currently, no one on the map quite in the danger vicinity yet. One of my favorite people, one of my favorite esports commentators, he's a very good friend and a mentor of mine, DKZA. You might see him commentating right up next to Hot Jukes and Zute recently. Phenomenal commentator, but he has this saying here with Miramar that it's like driving on the interstate and looking in a rear view mirror. Objects may appear closer than they actually are on the map, but when you zoom in, you see that this is just due to the sheer open size of Miramar. It's just open space between them, and what looks like they might be just jumbled next to each other, there's really quite a bit of distance between. However, Hacienda del Patron, water treatment, and outside of, I guess, the area under the clifftop of Crater Fields, does look like it could have some potential distance altercations, which I guess does bring me to a point worth mentioning here. What do we need to say about a map like Miramar? If you saw me say this in any of my previous things, well, you know it's my spiel, but when the maps change, I'll change up the description accordingly. This is the largest map that we have in PUBG Mobile, but technically it is an 8x8, just like Erangel. The only thing is Erangel is consumed by so many different portions and bodies of water that realistically this is the most land area, surface area, for any of the PUBG Mobile maps, meaning that the odds of 2 teams landing next to each other is going to be a bit slimmer. The catch-22 of that, the flip side of that coin, is that just because your enemies are not necessarily in close proximity to you does not make you safe, per se, on a map as open as Miramar, meaning that it's going to be extremely sniper intensive, and you need to be alert, not just of your immediate surroundings, but those who could be 300 meters away as well. And for someone like ARTIC's Melanie, who's running through the open desert, it's almost asking for trouble, but I'm sure that this is being done out of necessity, not preference. Sometimes it can be hard to find a vehicle on this map for sure. But while we do have this little bit of downtime, I think we have a real opportunity, as I was just sent the overall scores as they currently stand. So, ba-bam. All right, where did I put it? Hold on. My apologies. I think... here we go. Okay. So, the overall standings as they currently are after match 1. So, as you can see here, MADBULLS just literally a 49-point head start on Major Pride. And Major Pride with this little bit of performance in this previous match, able to work their way on up to second position if they weren't already before. And doing so, they're already at a 9-point lead over KR Lioness and De Muerte. Bringing another point up, you know, hey, KR Lioness and De Muerte are literally tied for points here. And in a situation like this, you know, every single split second matters. Every placement point after 8th matters. All right, catching wind here on Here's Esports. They have a real chance to push into Tres Ranchos. I don't think that they initially planned on that, though, so that little redirecting makes sense. And just now seeing KR Lioness driving by in the distance, and yeah, where Rita and Victoria have turned the vehicle. So here's the thing. Here's Esports was one of the, let's say, middle performing teams on day one, meaning that they didn't have a particularly bad day. They didn't have a particularly overwhelmingly great day, but, you know, to see them shying away from the altercations at this portion in the day, realistically, Here's Esports. Where was their place? So, yeah, okay. Here's Esports actually had a little bit, against what I said, an overwhelmingly not great day in that light. They only have 15 points on the board so far. For some reason, I had assumed a bit more than that. But with that sort of performance and that sort of, you know, bottom of the totem pole on the leaderboard, there really is not much room for this sort of hesitation. There's not much reason for it. You know, if anything, they could still very much make an impact in the outcome of this game, of this tournament even. They could completely undo, you know, a team like De Muerte, who's tied at 62 points. They could ruin that for them. There's a lot of potential here. Look at these attacks on the Lionesses by Tres Ranchos. Lionesses who were performing very well yesterday, and especially on their Sanhok matches. Well, a lion might do well in the jungle, but take it and put it in the desert, it might be a little out of its element. And the Tres Ranchos are operating well within their element here. Michelle and Isa quickly pushing forward to secure a thirst on Cowie of Lioness. Wow. All right. Wow, we actually have a couple potential concerning areas here. So tell you what, starting things off on the alt cam, we're going to bring up the Witchers. On the bottom cam, we're going to bring up De Muerte, or the main cam, we're going to bring up De Muerte. I'm already confusing myself here. Okay. So catching eyes on Matesha of De Muerte on the main screen. As it renders in, we can see the Witchers, actually Malik trying to drive away from confrontation from Silently. It does seem like Silently may be in pursuit. Yeah, and it's See-Through of the Witchers here who stands to lose the most from this. If Silently even has 2 members in a vehicle, it's almost certain death from that proximity. I actually withdraw that statement. I withdraw that certain death from proximity because there's enough geographical elevations and stuff that we can't really safely say that. But hey, let's give a little attention here to GOEXIA's RedEye, because I see you, GOEXIA RedEye. I want to say, A, good troll. B, that's a mighty fine name you got there. RedEye's a good name. I will say, you know, don't take the brand, but I'm hoping you perform well with it. All right, De Muerte closing in here on Major Pride. We got Matesha. She heard a couple warning shots put outward from Rose or Saunders there. I'm not sure who they are aiming in at, to be honest, Major Pride, because it's certainly not aimed outwards at De Muerte. I don't even think they know of De Muerte's location yet. But while that may be brewing, I can pull that up on the alternate cam. On the main cam, we're going to tune in to ARTIC Esports. Well, ARTIC Esports was dangerously close to silently and has rerouted once again. So, tell you what, AltCam bringing up DARKSIDEKNIGHTS, and good time. It looks like Zombie of Darkside already in the thick of it here, all the while ARTIC pushing dangerously close to the Witchers. And look at this, the Witchers, interestingly enough, bowing out. They do not want the confrontation this early. Now, I'm trying... Yeah, see, the Witchers currently coming in at a standing of 7th place after round 1. So that actually does make sense to me from their position. However, if they were to keep an eye on the first place prize, it wouldn't really... a lot for much downtime, meaning, you know, as I said at the end of yesterday and at the beginning of today, the only way to knock MADBULLS off of this pedestal would be to eliminate them early match numerous times. All right, tuning in. We got such a cluster forming here. We still have 53 people up, over 15 teams. We're going to switch our attention to DARKSIDEKNIGHTS, who is very much the deli meat in this peanut butter and trouble sandwich here, stuck in between De Muerte and Control Esports. Now, Zombie catching a little ear of Matesha's footsteps here, and as you can see, Zombie considering preparing a nade, and it looks like Matesha has a bit of the same idea. And will Zombie live up to her name or be turned into a zombie? Oh, what in tarnations? Oh, De Muerte, Melita coming in with an off angle on Control Esports' Lady, but they cannot focus too heavily in on the distance outliers in Control Esports and forget about DSK. I mean, to be honest, you need to be giving kind of ample attention to both of these threats. Just because Control in a 2-2 split, that is two different lines of angles of potential fire on De Muerte. But on top of that, the most concerning threat is, you know, DSK. They've got Zombie in nadeable proximity here with them. She definitely has the potential to nade Matesha. And as I say that, I choke on those words. De Muerte, talk about self-control and discipline. To bow out of that when you know how comfortable they are in their confrontations. They are very eager to place higher on this standing here. And they do not want to be tied with KR Lioness at 62 points any longer. So, with this new zone shift, it's going to put a little bit more pressure here on GOEXIA. All the while, Major Pride driving inward from the westbound portion outside of zone and finding themselves pinched in between Galactics and De Muerte as well as MADBULLS. That is literally that's Bermuda's Triangle, if anything. All right, Major Pride rose, bringing one tap down to one tap, but then Allen of Galactics with a third-party knock. Beautifully timed there, leaving Major Pride in the hands of Bazoomi God and Satan Nova. We got Satan Nova rushing forward to try to provide some assistance to her fallen teammate. Remember how absolutely critical Rose was in the last match. Some phenomenal nades. I believe 2 nade elims alone, along with 3 additional elims just to her name alone. I have to double check on that before I can put the RedEyes stamp on it. But look at this, Satan Nova being thwarted in her efforts to assist her fallen teammate, and now Major Pride is in the hands of their final hope, Bazoomi God. But no time to waste, as GOEXIA is in the thick of it now, coming in for a third party on XNINE versus HEARZ. We got Pia already in sight here. We're going to get HEARZ up on the alternate cam. We got Victoria on the alt being taken down. Goodness, Victoria is down, leaving everything in the hands of Scotty for HEARZ Esports. XNINE relying on Johanna and Polly. Polly rushing forward, UMP 45 in hand, but with Scotty right on the other side of the hay bale. And realistically, that should have been in her favor, but, you know, the split moments. Look at this. De Muerte and Major Pride having at it in the distance. We'll pull that up on the alt cam because that is now a 1v1 between well, no, it's not. They're not near each other. De Muerte's near Galactics and MADBULLS, but look at this. Control going after Galactics now. Third partying a MADBULLS takedown, it sounds like. And on the alt cam, we see MADBULLS Leora pushing closer. Tell you what, we'll get a little bit of both. And Amaya of MADBULLS, another takedown. Look at this. 3 elims, a full 4-piece. They're playing it a little bit slower than they were the Erangel match, but understandably so. They didn't fare quite as fortunate on their Miramar matches, even though I do believe they still won 1 of 2 of them. I'm trying to humanize MADBULLS. But when they perform at God tier, it makes it difficult. All right, Melita of De Muerte, the solo outlier with a low ground disadvantage over MADBULLS' complete Overwatch opportunities. And that Overwatch could be problematic, not just for De Muerte, but for members of ARTIC Esports or, well, maybe not so much the northbound threat in Galactics. It could be problematic for Galactics, but less likely so than for someone like Melita of De Muerte, who could honestly even... Let me make sure I have this angle right. Yeah, so if Leora catches a line of sight on Melita through that window and is able to knock her, as if she has any bullets left in that chamber, Melita is got such a low ground disadvantage that I think she might still be visible on the ground after knock through that window area. So I do think this could fare pretty problematic for Melita. Maybe even unfortunate for Melanie of ARTIC. And luckily for ARTIC and potentially for Melita, you know, MADBULLS have decided to prioritize a reorientation and a rotation into this new zone, and understandably why. You know, in a late stage Miramar match, compound cover can be few and far between. So that's when knowing the geographical advantages, the good hills and divots, the good high ground and Overwatch locations to take when cover isn't afforded in the form of buildings. Nice knock to Leo onto Galactics Allen. When it's not afforded with buildings, that's when it comes down to having those hilltops, those boulders, and if you don't have those, making sure you have that in-game abundance of smokes and maybe even a vehicle. Well, Leo Mary taken down before she could really celebrate that elim she got for the team. And look at this lady pushing in aggressively. Tommy gun in hand with only 5 bullets left in the clip. She does reload. And for some reason, Jay of Galactics... Oh, that's exactly why. Jay of Galactics had every reason to reorient her attention when Taro was that close. All right, well, MADBULLS one tap, not wasting any time. The Bulls are seeing red and charging basically anyone who wants the smoke. But this is still, again, with 4 elims, even at stage 4. It's a great performance. It's not as aggressive as we've seen, but I think anyone, by any standards, 4 elims is not something to wag your finger at, especially when there's plenty of the match to go with 33, I guess in this case, 29 other players remaining on the field. Leo Mary has been revived and dishing out some hate towards ARTIC. Tell you what, we'll pull that up on the alt cam. Looks like she is pushing forward towards, yeah, we got the last hope for ARTIC, which is going to be Archie here on the alt cam, coming out, making her final stand from the sniper tower. And honestly, those little shacks, not a sniper tower, those little shacks, in my opinion, on Miramar are more often than not a detrimental place to hold rather than advantageous. And I only say that because once they find out you're in there, if you don't have an escape vehicle, there's nothing really you can do to escape their focus. And if they push towards you, well, then you are literally fish in a barrel if they have nades. All right, MADBULLS putting outlying shots towards what looks to be, Yeah, it's going to be towards the Witchers. Sethu and BBL swallowing a little bit of damage there. Malik pushing outwards with a bolty, that Kara 98 in hand. BBL, Scar L, high bullet damage, but more difficult recoil than, let's say, an M4. Especially when you're considering that it's going to be applied in these more long mid-range altercations here. Not the most easy gun to control, but I think after 6 years of PUBG Mobile Esports, these ladies can handle a Scar L pretty easily. All right, well, Lady of Control Esports still laying out an onslaught, and Leo as well. Look at this, Control Esports just skyrocketed in elims all the way up to 11. We just tuned into Control, who was sitting at, I believe, 5 elims, maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago. If I'm incorrect about that, let me know in chat. All right, catching eyes on GTHESIS 911. She's got a high ground threat in the form of Kitty. Remember, Kitty and Cat Veins at each other's throats almost every match yesterday. Well, Kitty has a chance to face off against someone else here. It's 911, and will it be 911? Oof! The nade chipping away at Kitty's health, but it is not quite enough. 911 still at a health advantage over Kitty, but a low ground, and all too aware of Rizova coming in from an off angle, as well as the remainder, Gelavaya and Anissa coming in, just outnumbered, outwomaned, and outgunned in that scenario. Not really much she could have done there, but still 1 or 2 coins in the back pocket here. We got Leo Mary still coming forward. Look at Control Esports, a full 4-person team dominating in elims. This is an impressive performance. They skyrocketed in elims in such a short time. Look at this, MADBULLS. Oh, that's not MADBULLS. Control Esports putting the hurting here on the Witchers, getting a knock on Sethu, leaving it in the hands of Malik to do the cover fire, and one tap coming in from the off angle for the knock on Sethu while she tried to revive BBL. Oof. All right, we're hearing shots off in the distance. Tell you what, on the alt cam, we're going to bring up HEARZ Esports. They seem to be facing off with Tres Ranchos in a distance altercation. HEARZ Esports reduced to a 3-piece of Scotty, Victoria, and Warita, but with 6 elims on the board and already getting some placement points additional to add on, it's going to be a pretty good takeaway for this match for them. All right. Silently, we got Kitty here. Her teammate Gelavaya sent down to the prone zone here, and Kitty trying to get a nice off angle and retaliate onto Control Esports' Virgo. Now remember what I just said about that little shack. More often than not, ends up being just as much a detriment to you if you hold it here on Miramar. And I especially think that could be the case in a final stage match. Or final stage of Miramar. Look at this, where Rita swallowing the bullets. Victoria sent down, and that is it for HEARZ Esports. Back to the lobby forum. We got Kitty of Silently really utilizing the geography here, getting cover from numerous angles, and now reorienting her attention to Tres Ranchos' Michelle. All the while, look at this, Silently really putting some work in. They've had numerous knocks, but only 3 elims to their name so far, and now, in a matter of moments, reduced down to their final hope. Anissa, who is literally just a shred of her health and no first aids, putting out a hailstorm of grenades, just trying to get that lucky takedown. But when they have so much weight in numbers, Control Esports' Tara just had to push up from a different angle, and it was easy pickings. Well, look here, ladies and gentlemen, the MADBULLS, even as a 2-piece, 5 of these 6 elims to their name still are between these 2 remaining members. So while it is half of their starting lineup, oh boy, I'm caster cursing as I speak. Leora naded down to the prone zone. Hellfire raining on her, leaving one tap as the one hope, and the nade crashing down for a thirst. Not even a millimeter off target. One tap outnumbered here, but still overcoming high ground disadvantages, getting the takedown onto Lady. Now Virgo pushing up, a takedown onto Virgo. One tap is down to a quarter of her overall health, able to secure one thirst. Tara pushing forward, knows that one tap is weakened. Oh, almost. Oh, you can hear the frustration in the shots of Control Esports. Even though they came out victorious, even though they dominated in eliminations and absolutely, took the match, and no one's going to gain more points than Control Esports for this match. But the big bad bulls of the equation here, the MADBULLS, you cannot allow them to get any placement points. If they don't put up a single elimination more for the entirety of today and still make it into those top 8 positions, I still think that that is a very formidable threat to the rest of the playing field and a very likely tournament win for MADBULLS. There's only 4 more matches to undo this slaughterhouse that is becoming of this event. It is, otherwise you're battling for second place, and that's okay. That is okay. Ain't nothing wrong with silver. But if someone cough de muerte, cough KR Lioness, cough GOEXIA, cough GTHESIS, one of these higher bracket, mid-range bracket placement holders does not start bullying the MADBULLS, or at least trying to, and getting them eliminated and out of the equation early game, it's almost gonna destroy the hope. But we do have another change in geography ahead of us in the shape of the lush jungle of Sanhok. And if yesterday taught us anything, it's that Sanhok is KR Lioness's map. That is where the lion thrives, is in the jungle. And if I'm not mistaken, they won one of the Sanhoks, and the one that they either won one or both, but if they didn't win both, then they got second in the other one. So they absolutely dominated that map. And I'm curious to see moving forward as we approach round 3 of 6 if they can make lightning strike twice. I guess in this case, make lightning strike a 3rd time. Well, only time will tell. We'll be back at you in just a few short moments with round 3 of 6 of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Female Professional Women's International Tournament, brought to you and sponsored by Tencent and North American Scrims. Stick around. We'll be back soon. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Welcome back to round 3 of 6 of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Grand Finals, Day 2. It all culminates tonight. We got, I guess, including this one, 4 more matches left to decide who wants the biggest slice of that $500 prize pool the most. Well, time to settle round 3 out with a little rumble in the jungle. I am, of course, speaking about Sanhok. But first things first, while everyone's dropping in, let's have a look at those overall scores as they currently stand. So now MADBULLS is even further lengthened the gap between themselves and the rest of the playing field. Certainly, Major Pride continuing their onslaught of a performance, performing exceptionally well. But with MADBULLS performing at such god tier level, the only shot of taking the queens off of their throne here is early match elimination numerous times. Just putting that out there into the world. Take with it what you will. Let's have a look at the map. Wow. Interestingly enough, no teams landed directly on each other, but there are so many potential points of confrontation. I think we'll start off by tuning into ARTIC Esports' Archie, who's dangerously close to the second place holders in Major Pride. Archie equipping herself already with the QBU M16, swapping that out, getting herself some 7.62 Honey Badger action. But rotating to stay united as a solidified unit with her team, understandably so. Well, we do have a little bit of downtime here, so with this, let's talk about the map itself. Anyone who knows my commentary knows the spiel, but the way I see it is there's not that many maps that we compete with in PUBG Mobile Esports, and when they change up the landscapes and the features of these maps, I will change up the descriptions accordingly, but that's not the case. So, this is the smallest map that we're going to be working with tonight. It's a 6x6. It's not overly small in comparison to a map like, let's say, Livik, but it is the smallest map that we have in the PUBG Mobile Esports scene primarily, meaning that the odds of 2 teams landing next to each other is going to be a bit higher, but it's also the most lush in vegetation, meaning that there's more natural cover for our participants to take, more grass to hide in, trees and boulders to hide behind. So you got to be alert for that higher than average number of snakes than usual. And clearly, the flight path really is not a significant factor, at least nowhere near as weighted of a factor as it is on the larger maps like Miramar and Erangel, just because you can get pretty much anywhere you want by deploying your parachute early enough regardless of the path. Well, if there is a chill down anybody's spine, it's the MADBULLS. They are putting that pressure, that tension in the back of everyone's neck. They are what everyone is on the edge of their seat for right now, and not necessarily in a good way. If you're one of the other participating teams, it is more like a knife poking at your back, letting you know you might be performing better and better, but if you don't take out the big bad wolf, or in this case, the big bad bull, the final boss, then it's a battle, a contestation for second place. That's okay. Good morning, Dream. How are you? Alrighty. Let's see here. Where is the next bit of confrontation going to come from? If it's not from Jay, let's give a little note here. Jay, dangerously far off from the remainder of his team, and that is, if that's intentional, that is a serious error, given Galactics placed after last match an overall placement of 12th, meaning that they have not really overwhelmed the competition thus far. They definitely haven't brought themselves into a point of advantage where they have enough point gain to feel comfortable splitting up like this. But a 3-1 split does have certain advantages as well. You can flip that coin and say, let's say Ari, Allen, and Bree are attacked by a team like MADBULLS, ironically enough, not going to be right now, but if they were, you know, attacked by the MADBULLS and say the MADBULLS performed anything like they have the past 8 matches over the past 2 days, you know, at least they would have Jay in their back pocket to potentially carry on for some placement points. But that comes at a heavily weighted risk, you know? That is less woman power, less gun power, less scouting eyes for her team if she's not in a close enough proximity for it to be pertainable to them. All right, well, either way, regardless, HEARZ and Silently. Talk about, like, I have every dad joke lined up here. We got one team that's about noise and the other team that's about no noise. Team HEARZ versus Silently. There's got to be a real good dad joke buried in there. Well, a battle of patience ensues between these two teams. And no elims in the kill feed. We're not missing any action yet. This is by far the closest thing to the altercation that we've had so far. And look at this, Scotty at the forefront of this push, aggressively moving forward with a UMP. And oh my goodness, how did the nade not crash on Scotty? It looked like it was a takedown, but no, she is pushing forward aggressively as all get out. UMP 45, that CQC annihilator in hand before any revives are on the table. Scotty gets a third knock. I honestly think that there must have been some high ground third partying coming in from Galactics. But regardless, look at the performance. Nicely done, Kitty Kitty with 9 lives. Well, she lost all 9 right there. And just like that, HEARZ is going to come out victorious here with, well, 3 elims. They did have Scotty knocked in the process, but looking like a revive is in order. They're going to carry on as a 3-piece. Not a bad start. They are going to have to play a bit more reserved than a full 4-person team would, but that's okay. This is a Sanhok match. It's going to be a fast-paced one. And a 3-person team at in-game is more than suitable for a chicken dinner win. So, where is our next bit of confrontation going to come from? Where's the blood? All right, we're going to see if Major Pride has it out for the south, I guess the southeastbound threat in Tres Ranchos. I'll pull up both sides just in case. Make some use out of that second device here. Yeah, you see Satanova's rotation actually showing up on the alt cam as well. If she knew the exact location of Tres Ranchos there, it could have spelled trouble for them. But Darkside going off in the distance. Let's catch eyes. They are squaring off as we speak against Galactics. Galactics will be pulled up on the alt cam right now. We got Ari with the high ground. Beam taken down. Very like to be revived, leaving it in the hands of Zombie, Geo, and their third teammate. Now, DSK performing at a little bit of underwhelmingly slow rate given their position in the placement board. They are riding exactly with the equator of the placement board. They're placed exactly at 10th. Only 33 points, but they're also only 4 points behind 6th place. Or, they're 4 points behind 7th place. My apologies. Well, Witcher's going off in the distance. Let's have a look-see what is happening. Sethu getting a takedown in the distance, and it is up against the Tres Ranchos. We will get eyes on Michelle of Tres Ranchos in the distance, and look here at the spread. This 2-1 split by the Witchers, and BBL lands a molly just in perfect timing. This should be a Witchers push, and yes, Dr. Miami knows it. She is preparing for a aggressive push forward, grenade in hand, and looks like Major Pride coming in for a third party and really putting a hurting onto Sethu, which could honestly end up turning itself into a saving grace for Tres Ranchos, and it has. They were able to secure the revive thanks to some unintentional help from Major Pride. Major Pride may not even know about this third team here, so they might think that they are coming in pushing a knock on the Witchers alone. But no. That is not the case, which they will probably soon hear before they can actually get close enough to do any confrontation. GOEXIA having at it in the distance, and I do want to see what GOEXIA RedEye brings to the table here. Oh, she's out. Well, it looks like GOEXIA RedEye, the name may have cursed her. But they've already got one elim on the board going into Taro here as they square off against HEARZ. HEARZ reduced down to a two-piece now of Scotty and Steve. Scotty, M4 UMP combo in hand like it's the meta of 2022. And I think on the alt cam, I need to pull up. See, there's that spectator glitch where it seems like a door is closed, but that is not the case for the participants. Yeah, I'm going to pull up. Oh my goodness, Rival with a retaliatory nade, putting Scotty humbly down on the ground. Steve, the final hope here, putting out her final stand with an M762. Almost securing the first knock, but not quite, and ultimately just outnumbered in that situation. De Muerte finding a positioning that Galactics may not be aware of, but De Muerte is a bit at a low ground here. I don't really want to say it's even a disadvantage per se, or even an advantage towards Galactic with this many trees and things covering the direct line of sight on the opponent. But look here, Melita and Kiss with a hyper-aggressive push forward to the enemy. What's Ari got to do here? Ari, well, not a lot she could have done in that position. Oh, nope. I want to get my eyes on Allen. We got him just as she got taken down there, but kind of picked apart in that scenario. She was also outnumbered, which shouldn't have been the case. Realistically, that should have been a 2v2 or maybe even a 3v2 out of favor of De Muerte. But there should have been some assistance fire at that close proximity, and it's kind of unfortunate to see not, but that's always with a spectator's vision here. We got perfect 2020 spectator vision, and that is a luxury that these pro players do not. All right. I think the shots are being put outwards. I don't think that's GTHESIS taking any damage. If anything, it would have been an exchange between De Muerte and DSK, and I don't think that's going to amount to much either at this stage. But I'm going to tune into the Witchers. It looks like they are keeping the pressure here on Tres Ranchos. We'll have Tres Ranchos coming up on the alt cam as we tune Michelle in, putting some retaliatory... Oh, this is not retaliatory nades, is it? It almost seemed like she was... Okay, she didn't throw that molly. She put some assistance smoke cover down for her team. The molly came from BBL, the enemy on the rooftop. And look here, Control Esports still holding the hilltop here. This actually could pan out pretty well. I'm assuming that these knocks on ARTIC are going to be from the high ground holders in Control. And realistically, if you are Control and Tres Ranchos isn't giving you trouble, it probably wouldn't be worth their time to engage in that altercation just yet. Because a knock on Tres Ranchos is not like to amount to any thirst without a direct, immediate push. And for them to push out like that could leave them susceptible. Well, I was going to say susceptible to ARTIC Esports, but as I say that, ARTIC is removed from the equation. Well, you guys know who I have to go tune into. The dominators of Sanhok on day one. The lions in the jungle. And look at Hasiko with the jump shot over the boulder. Realistically, didn't even need to put out much damage, but this is still... Okay, yeah, the Lionesses have 4 elims to their name. Not overwhelmingly impressive, but still plenty of the match to go. And honestly, this is about the pace that they kept their Sanhoks yesterday. So I think that this could very well be another Lioness impressive performance. Meanwhile, De Muerte and the Witchers settle some unresolved disputes here. The issue that I have here with a Painan altercation even at stage 4 is that if they lie on opposite ends of the river, like they do here, that can often lead to a standstill. But tell you where it's not becoming a standstill is XNINE, the winners of round 1 here, coming in, trying to alleviate this gap in the placement. And look at it, with Zombie getting a knock on De Muerte's kiss off in the distance. Very nicely done. But even so, with XNINE securing this knock right here, they have one member of Tres Ranchos down, leaving it up to Michelle and Riza. It does seem like XNINE is finding a little bit more momentum, a little bit more confidence in their gameplay today. Well, Michelle securing the revive on her fallen teammate, meaning that Isa is in charge of the overwatch and cover fire here. Isa doing just that, putting the pressure onto XNINE, not even necessarily implementing much damage or any, but that's not necessarily the critical factor here. The critical factor is keeping the pressure on them and making it so they can't peek your knocked teammates or your teammates as they try to reposition. Looks like MADBULLS going off in the distance. We have a Maya working on major pride here. This could be huge. 2 absolutely heavy hitters, top 2 performing teams of the event thus far, and Satanova down by 1 tap. Amaya crucially low on health, desperately needing to heal, but putting out the nade to finish Saunders right then and there. MADBULLS are just an unstoppable colossus of a team, and case in point, Oh Daddy annihilating them, sending Satanova back to hell with the goodness gracious. What is going on with the Bulls? Is there just some bullfighter waving a red flag in front of them each match and just ticking them off? They came to this event. They came to Season 4 of Ivy League with absolute blood on the mind, ready to send a message to the entire playing field and the entire professional PUBG Mobile esports circuit for that matter. All right, we're getting eyes on GTHESIS' J8, but I'm thinking that might not be the best move here because we've got a 3-way standoff here between Tres Ranchos' XNINE and Control Esports. It is an exchange of utilities. Michelle and one of her teammates are down, leaving Tres Ranchos down to the last Rancho, Isa. Meanwhile, Control Esports' Leo Mary at the forefront of a push onto XNINE. Polly is down. Johanna soon to follow if she can't heal. Just like that, Tara taken down. The odds evened up just a little bit, but just like that, another XNINE member down, leaving it in the hands of Glute and Johanna. Johanna desperately needing to heal, able to get the first aid off in time, but nice takedown on Virgo, holding the corner as tightly as possible. It paid off as Virgo is taken down to the prone zone. Molly sent outwards to try to secure any thirst, but that nade is going to spell trouble for Piaz. Oh, it's a smoke. A little preemptive Molly being thrown through, but Virgo is going to be eliminated by Glute's Molly. Lady getting a retaliatory takedown and finishing Pia. Pre-fire from Glute looked like it was going to be good, but only taking Lady down to just above half health. Leo Mary picked off in a third party from De Muerte. This in-game altercation is ridiculous. Bloodbath warfare. Tons of heavy-hitting berserker strats here. Glute gonna desperately need to push forward. She doesn't have an option. Going under the bridge to try to secure cover from the Control Esports, but De Muerte just finished Control Esports, and she lined up for De Muerte there. But now De Muerte about to have a little muerte dealt to him by the queens of the event so far, the MADBULLS. And you know they're feeling the pressure. And De Muerte, just so we are clear, De Muerte is literally tied for 3rd place. They are absolutely performing at a top-tier professional level. But the gap between themselves and MADBULLS is just uncanny. But look here, the lions stalking their prey in the grass. If there is one David to the Goliath, that is MADBULLS. On a map like Sanhok, it would be the Lionesses. But Hasiko down! Retaliatory nades thrown outwards. The smokes are not going to be enough. Karm is down. Oh, pardon me. Karm's the last hope with a DBS in hand. Putting shots outward, but leaving the head turned away from 1 tap. Well, you may as well just signed your coffin right there. Melita taken down, leaving everything's in the hands of Matesha and the warrior princess Xena herself. But these two players that are still up are responsible for 70% of the team's elim so far. That is De Muerte at a 10 elim finish at least, with at worst a second place finish. Now, even though the Lioness is taken out in third, I think we can rest easy that it was a strong performance on their end. They only got 5 elims, but I only say only because of how well they performed on this map in day 1. A 5 elim third place finish is not bad. It's a great performance, but ultimately it's not enough to take out the Goliath that is MADBULLS. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's getting to the point where there's not going to be a way to alleviate this difference. So it is a contestation for second place. At this point, there's just nothing that can be done about that, more than likely. We'll have to wait and see what the placement score said, but I would be shocked. Regardless, what an absolute slaughterhouse that they turned this into. One moment, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Had to get my stream deck open here. Regardless, that's game over. MADBULLS, a 10 elim plus 10 placement points, another 20-point gain. It's going to put the MADBULLS at 153. Now, for De Muerte, a second place finish here along with 10 elims, that's 18 points for them. So realistically, that's going to bring them up to 81. Now, with Major Pride being knocked out significantly earlier, I think that this could be the jump start that De Muerte needs to, well, at the very least, they have secured this contestation for third place. They are tied at third with 63 points before entering this match, tied with the KR Lionesses. Uh-oh. They are going to surpass the Lionesses. They have 10 elims and a second place finish. That's 18 points for De Muerte. The Lionesses have 5 elims and I believe 7 placement points. That's 12 points to the Lionesses. So that means that this should, if my math is correct, put De Muerte at a 6-point bump above the Lionesses. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the different geographies, and now it's time to start doing our second runs through these maps and correcting some of the errors that were made in the first 3 matches. Stick around. We're going to be back at you. We got 3 more rounds of action, mayhem, and strategy of day 2 of the grand finals of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Female Professional Women's International Tournament, brought to you and sponsored by Tencent and North American Scrims. Be back in just a few moments. All righty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Round 4 of 6 of day 2 of the grand finals of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Professional Females Women's International Tournament. Females Women's International Tournament. I don't know why I had to use both of those, but I did. So we are back with our second do-over of Destruction in the Desert. A little smackdown in the sand, so to speak. And if anyone has an eye out for anybody, the Bulls have got to be knocked off of their rocker at some point, right? At some point, going 100% you have to let your foot off the throttle, right? Well, thus far, it's been 9 games of a slaughterhouse. So there is only room here for desperation. What do I mean by that? I mean that in the late stage of a long-ended tournament, for certain teams, like for instance, a team that hadn't placed in the top 10 at this stage, coming in below the top 10 placing teams, what do you have to lose? Nothing. What do you have to gain? Everything. This is a professional tournament amongst professional teams. These ladies are going to be competing with each other for a long time to come. Now, even if you haven't performed at your top tier level, at your usual best, this is a message, this is a chance to send that message to the playing field, let them know just why you belong here. And hey, maybe this event didn't pan out the way you wanted, but you're going to show them just why you belong here with the champs. All right, tuning my attention to Tres Ranchos just because they're semi-close to silently. But while we do have this brief moment, we're going to go over the overall scores as they currently stand. So, literally, at 153 points with the overall leaderboard, MUERTE is an unstoppable force, an immovable object, and honestly, just... Or pardon, MADBULLS. My apologies to MUERTE. MUERTE doing phenomenal, almost at 80 points. Again, that's almost doubled by the final boss. I mean, the Shao Kahn, the Goro, the Shang Tsung, however you want to put it, of this event is the MADBULLS. It is not going to be possible to alleviate this kind of gap. It's just not going to happen. But you could, let's say, attack them early game, take them out, and upset them. Send a little message to not just every other team here, but a little, the intimidation factor to every other team that's participating, but also a little something, little popcorn treat for the viewers, taking out the queens of the event here. And honestly, MUERTE has performed at a top tier level. So when I accidentally said MUERTE, I wasn't too off the mark. But the thing is that MADBULLS, what MUERTE stands above the remainder of the playing field in this event with a huge gap lead over a majority of the playing field. Well, MADBULLS has done that, almost doubled what MUERTE has put up. Just for reference, MUERTE at 80, MADBULLS 79, which means that literally MADBULLS are 5 points away from literally doubling MUERTE's total points. This is not who's gonna get that gold medal. It's who wants second place and who wants to send a message out to the rest of the ladies that they're competing with here in this event, saying, hey, you better watch out for us in the events to come. I can guarantee you that the MADBULLS do not need to say anything. They don't need a single additional elim for that intimidation factor to be put out towards everyone else. At this point, everyone else is intimidated. If they are taking the event seriously and are playing rationally, they are intimidated. Well, little bit of a standstill, as to be fairly expected for an early stage of Miramar. Remember what we said in round 2? Such a wide, large, vast map, and more surface area than Erangel, even though it is sharing the same size at 8x8. So realistically, if there are ever the highest odds for a slower start to a match, it's never more so than on Miramar. But as the case of Ivy League Season 4 has been thus far, it's been non-stop action. And I mean this without any exaggeration. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. These ladies have performed and put out more of a performance. I'm going to say this has been in the top 2 most action-packed events I've casted in at least a year. And anyone who knows me knows that if that includes 2022, goodness knows. I think I casted more than any socially acceptable amount. And I can say without even any hesitation, this has just been some of the most impressive gameplay I have seen in a long time, regardless of any gender. I would put these Mad Bull girls up against any Tier 1 North American team with full confidence. And I don't mean that with any toxicity. I mean that as an objectional assessment. They are... I mean, honestly, I'll put De Muerte up against some of our heaviest hitters any day. Phenomenal performances. You do not see utilities utilized in this way in a North American Pro event. Definitely not at this consistency. Well, I am going to stay here on XNINE because we were talking about the Mad Bulls turning this event into a slaughterhouse. And XNINE, who has really come into day 2 with a new chip on their shoulder to really turn the tides. What I really like about this is that XNINE doesn't seem to be, trying to take over and get first place. They're playing to better themselves. After a rough day 1, and I do mean rough in terms of there was bad luck, genuine bad luck on the drop that we witnessed. Skill factor wasn't even able to be brought into the equation in certain scenarios because they didn't have weapons to get. So yeah, XNINE has had a tough pill to swallow on day 1, and they came in guns blazing at the start of day 2, and even, I believe, secured a win or a second place finish in round 1. I do believe it was a win, but ultimately, yes, it was a win, but they still came out with less points than the Mad Bulls. But that's okay. They are improving as a solid team, and I think that makes them a very formidable threat to the rest of the playing field in the events to come. Unfortunately, the caster curse is real as the blue zone takes Galoot down to the prone zone, and just like that, has to really put a pressure factor. Leora knows about the knock. She put in all the bullets. What she didn't do, the blue zone finish, and she saw it in the kill feed. The Mad Bulls don't miss a thing. They don't miss a bullet. They don't miss a player being taken down in the kill feed. They don't miss an opportunity to capitalize. And look at this. They are baiting Piaz. They are using Piaz as bait. For a brief moment, they waited on that thirst, saying, hey, maybe we can get some scouting info, get the remainder of her teammates' location before we secure this thirst. And I think it actually did pay off, because look what Amaya is doing. She caught eyes on Johanna, and it's a takedown. Amaya. The Mad Bulls are seeing red. I have made this expression every single match so far because they have not let their foot off of the pedal. They have gone 100 miles an hour towards a first place finish of this event and not letting the foot off the gas for a single moment. Not even gonna give the opportunity for a false sense of hope. All right, well, Major Pride and Control Esports duking it out. Virgo and Leo Mary taking Bazoomi God out of the equation, reducing Major Pride down to a 3-piece of Rose, Satan Nova, and Saunders. And Major Pride, a top-performing team. Make no mistake. Only 3 points behind second place at this point. Very much still in the running here. And depending on the payout dispersion of this prize pool, could be very well within their reasoning to make sure to acquire the best positioning possible. All right, Satan Nova with a little bit of a high ground geographical Overwatch, getting a scouting info on Control Esports, but with enough distance away from him that when she wants to be out of the line of sight, she is totally. And even if there is a hill glitch, that's just going to, deplete Control Esports' ammo with bullets that do not hit the mark. Now, let's say she is knocked. Well, that doesn't really matter because once she's knocked, she is still out of the line of fire behind that hill crescent. So realistically, Major Pride playing this positioning perfectly. Well, the Lionesses hunting and stalking their prey off in the distance. We saw a takedown in the kill feed, but I believe that must have been from Hate Me. No, it was still from Hate Me. But was it her thirst? No, it was the knock on Galactics J. Look here, Bree holding the off angle and waiting for the moment to strike. She may have just given up that advantage a little too hastily. A little bit more patience maybe would have shown her that, if KR, she knew Cowie of Lioness or Hate Me of Lioness was going to stop there, that surprise factor would have been a certain knock almost. But that's with the spectators' perfect 2020 vision. The participants don't have the knowledge and placement scouting info that we have. Kawhi of the KR Lioness, little bit closer, just beyond the hill crescent to an opponent, but not really far enough from her team that I think that it's a disadvantageous play to be in the spread. I think it's pretty smart, actually. As I say it, I see that she is going to reunite with Hate Me, but there's a reasoning for it. And the reasoning is in the shape and form of De Muerte. The shots being fired downward onto Xena. Now look here. This 2-2 split. Oh, and even as I give them their flowers, the Lionesses are taking a tough one there. Hate Me being knocked, even despite having that high ground. But look, see how she's out of the line of sight. But De Muerte with the immediate aggressive push. They don't waste, they don't hesitate a single opportunity. And this is going to pan out not ideally for Kawhi. She's desperately trying to stick a revive, which may have just saved her. Look at this Kiss taking her vehicle and driving off. Oh my goodness, and escaping. How did she just escape that? Well, Melita, the off-angle holder, preparing a utility, and it looks like Armsy, Kawhi's teammate, able to do some serious work. We got Melita up on the alt cam here. Kawhi is naded down to the prone zone. Hate Me desperately trying to secure a revive, which means Hasiko is in charge of the Overwatch and cover fire. Problem is, from a low ground, there is no Overwatch possibilities, but maybe a chance at reviving her fallen teammate Karmsy. Whew. But the nades, the problem with smokes when you are out of the line of sight of your opponent is those smokes are basically a honing beam, serving the exact opposite of what you threw them out there to do. Well, Hasiko quick to react with the Uzi in hand, shooting at De Muerte and taking Kiss down to half health. Kiss still not afraid for the fight, and the nade's perfect. Perfect. Hasiko is down for the count. It's a quick attempt for a revive by Karmsy, but that's honestly Karmsy's undoing because, yeah, Kiss doesn't even need to adjust the nade, and now it doesn't even need to hit the mark directly. This is De Muerte in peak form here with these utilities. Really, really setting the tone here for round 4. However, their teammate Xena, the Warrior Princess, taking a little side spray shots and a drive-by by GOEXIA ESPORTS, but we don't have time for that. Why? Because Galactics is going to square off as we speak. And it looks to be... oh, I guess they're not. They're going to drive away. It was going to be against XNINE, but given the way XNINE has played day 2, I don't blame Galactics for shying away. Well, the Witchers not having a ideal match 4 here. Malik taken down, and Sithu, as we saw, eliminated early on in this match, leaving it down to a 2-piece of Dr. Miami and BBL. Dr. Miami desperately pedal to the metal as she tries to close that gap between herself and her remaining teammate BBL, provide some assistance from this immediate threat that is Oh, DARKSIDEKNIGHT. And unfortunately, just a few moments too late for Dr. Miami. And to add on to that, that little bullet, maybe, I don't even think it was a misfire, but the 2 bullets she put outwards to try to just hold silently at bay were probably enough to give DSK all the knowledge. Wow. Choking on my words, ladies and gentlemen. Choking on my words. Hey, I love being surprised like that. That was impressive. One nade, 2 elims, 2 birds, 1 stone. Nicely done. Just like that. The Witcher's gonna carry on as a 3-piece and upped their elim count by 2 more for a total of 3 so far. Hey, that is a much better scenario than they expected that to turn out to, probably. Well, silently just lost one of their members. Gelavaya taken out by a swarm of Tres Ranchos members, leaving it down to a 3-piece of Anissa, Razova, and Kitty. Well, one of the Ranchos holding this off-angle position, and I think that she's doing it pretty well. However, with 2 teams on either side here, with Silently and MADBULLS on opposite ends of this building, I do think that that leaves a little bit of vulnerability through these window ways, meaning that she can't forget that there are multiple lines of sight. Even within MADBULLS, 4 different angles, potential lines of sight on the opponent. I don't know if this is the ideal position, but actually, as I say that, there's enough distance from Silently that if she was knocked, she would be fine. She would be out of the line of sight unless there was an instant aggressive push. Her teammates are close enough to secure revives if that's the case. Well, Oli, one absolute outlier in day 1. A squad wiper on her own. So put her with her team, and that is a very formidable threat. We got ARTIC ESPORTS having at it in the distance. I'm going to go ahead and check in on them. It looks like Melanie has just been knocked in this altercation with HEARZ ESPORTS. It's down to Scotty. Scotty putting out some preemptive shots, but ooh, what a beautiful takedown. Taking Archie down and losing minimal health. Absolutely minimal health. And the third party from Control Esports. Remember what I said at the beginning of round 2? I'll say it at the beginning of every Miramar match. Gotta be aware of not just your immediate surroundings, but those off in the distance as well, because Miramar is open landscape. And that means third party central, ladies and gentlemen. And Control Esports knows how to use it. All right, we got De Muerte having at it with GOEXIA. GOEXIA, one of the top performing teams. De Muerte, another top performer. But oof, Anna, bullets to the dome and sent down to the prone zone. And that leaves it in the hands of Tara and Rival. Rival, 6x Scar Elves, full spray and dishing out a massive load of damage, but swallowing retaliatory fire in the process. And add on to it, third-party damage coming from the low-bound threat in Galactics. This is multiple threats at once, and Rival, desperately in need of some healing, finding herself a little close to the De Muerte threat, meaning that even if De Muerte doesn't know she's there, they are likely to throw a nade just in case. And that nade would get her if she stays at that window edge. Well, look at position. Position means everything, especially on this map. And Leora and Amaya know it 100%. They have 2 Overwatchers and 2 Underwatchers. Oh, Daddy, the off-angle holder. One tap, the several hundred feet away from Oh Daddy, providing numerous lines of sight on Silently, but then the Overwatchers, Leora and Amaya, able to not just have that high ground angle on Silently, but also to scout any rotation Silently does, giving that feedback down to Oh Daddy, and one tap could be huge. Look at, do you hear this? Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the chat. Has there been an auto attachment added to the Mini, or is is homegirl straight Cappy Gaming single tapping just really fast there? I think that's a possibility too. Major Pride. It's a battle of DBSs there, and DBS does not allot a single millisecond for error. And just like that, it is down to one Rancho remaining. Desperate for a revive on Isa. Luckily for her, Major Pride may be willing to trade revives in this scenario. Can't really blame him, but one nade inside could be the input. Satan Nova a little too quick to push, and now Sonder able to heal up, and Sonder does clutch it. The revive from Satan Nova paid off in spades. Even though Satan Nova was knocked in the process, she just saved Major Pride's chance at further placement and additional limbs. Really clutch play by Satan Nova in a split-second revive, and then Sonder with that barely last millisecond, getting that first aid off just in the nick of time, able to clutch it. Well, Rival, the last hope for GOEXIA, swimming in a pool of De Muerte members. She's got Melita at the forefront of it, firing away 6x, or pardon me, Red Dot Scar Hell, and it's a quick takedown. 2 members of De Muerte remained, but look at that. Look at that. A little unintentional assistance from the first place gold medal holders in MADBULLS. That honestly may have just saved Rival's life there. Realistically, it more than likely did in a scenario where she was outnumbered 2 or 3 to 1 by De Muerte. MADBULLS, hey, sometimes you need a helping hand, even if it's unintentional. Well, Kitty clinging to the very last of her 9 lives, it seems, and controls Tara, just not letting off the pressure. Control Esports really putting up a performance. And look at this, just positioning, and numbers in full form. Full momentum, full confidence. These MADBULLS can't be stopped. Amaya pushing a little closer here. Look, even down to their in-game plays here. Even if this doesn't pan out well for MADBULLS, it makes sense for them to do this. Why not to make these risky plays? But they have performed as such heavy hitters as solo players. The fact that they are a full 4-piece, why not go for this risky play? What do they have to lose? They've already got such a monstrous lead over the entire playing field. It would take I mean, I don't think a miracle from PUBGMOBILE himself could take the MADBULLS off of this first place throne for the remainder of this event. There's only 2 more matches after this. There's just no way. So literally, MADBULLS can turn the remainder of this event into their playground. It doesn't matter how they place, they can try anything they want. And that makes them the most dangerous opponents 2 times over. Leora taken down in a distance shot from the Witcher's Malik. Very nicely done, but will it be a push? I would doubt it. I mean, as I said, that intimidation factor that the MADBULLS have put out has had to have made an effect on the playing field, and it has. The Witchers are not pushing, but even more so, what they try to stay out of the line of sight of the team that they just got a member knocked on, and boy, Amaya does not let a single second pass before she lays out a absolute hellfire rain on top of the Witchers. This is MADBULLS spread out, dominating teams in singular units. Daddy and Amaya in a 2-1 split with 1 tap, literally spreading out across the remainder of the safe zone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about to go down. We got our alt cam on Daddy. Actually, we're going to switch the alt cam over to Alan of Galactics, because Galactics is, in every sense of the word, stuck in between a rock and 3 other hard spots. 4 hard spots if you consider how spread out 1 tap is from the remainder of her team, pardon me. Nades dropping on debris, dishing out some significant damage. Not quite enough for the knock, but it could be enough for GTHESIS to take advantage. But that's an opportunity wasted. But regardless, Allen throwing out some warning retaliatory utilities. trying to hold one tap off, but that Hellfire does not take one tap by surprise at all. She had already rotated since throwing, keeping the enemy on their toes and utilizing the geographical divot here. I mean, this little divot is enough to block all of MADBULLS from the line of sight if they are knocked. If they are knocked, as Amaya almost was just then, it would take an immediate throw of another utility to secure the thirst. But if any hesitation is there, they could probably, I mean, it's a guessing game for Galactics at that point if they don't have the line of sight. This is a absolute berserker endgame. That's going to hit. Nope, a little bit too far. A little bit too far. Bree dodges fire, but the second one may correct it, taking some significant damage on her. And look at that. Nades finishing off the Witchers by Oh Daddy. And look at it. Just a absolute slaughterhouse that the MADBULLS have turned this grand final into. Look at these, both nades that Amaya and one tap through hit Allen. If they had not exploded simultaneously, it would have been a knock and a thirst. What? Oh my goodness. These girls don't miss, but GTHESIS down to 649. Her final stand is short-lived. But wow. Wow, wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it's honestly it's a treat. It's like you don't very often get to see exceptional, overwhelmingly exceptional performances above all the rest on a tier 1 international event. That usually doesn't happen because the pro circuit is the best of the best. And, you know, one player draft could absolutely change up a team synergy. But little factors, you see little gains in little adjusts of improvement, little outliers in tier 1 pro events. Not today, not yesterday. What we're witnessing is a league of their own in the shape and form of MADBULLS. And trust me, I don't root for any particular team to win. I just assess objectively. And the MADBULLS just had a 26-point gain when they literally were only 7 points from doubling the number of points second place had. I'm not even going to go into the remainder of the standings because we'll have that when we come back. But just to put that in perspective, the momentum that this team has built, let's say we take in game 1, day 1, probably their first win. That's the snowball being rolled down the top of the hill. By the time day 1 ended, that thing had become the size of an absolute cannonball. And now, as we just conclude round 4 of day 2, it has become a mountain that rolls down. I mean, it is just accrued too much momentum to stop. The girls are too confident, too skilled on their own individually, let alone to put them in a singular unit. So real treat to get to watch something so special. And honestly, if that is the real Rolex, I'll flip out. But welcome into the chat. Y'all, we have 2 more rounds ahead of us, and anything can happen in those 2 rounds. Rounds 5 and 6, this is what I want to see. If you're a team like ARTIC, HEARZ, Galactic, Silently, XNINE, DARKSIDE, or GTHESIS, to heck with it. Don't worry about placement. Worry about just hurting someone. Just go out there and put out all-out aggression. What do you have to lose? Especially if you're Arctic Esports and you're eliminated first out. It doesn't affect your placement, and it's not going to affect the amount of money you take away. Go make your message. Go make your presence known. Someone go after the big bad bull and take them out early. We gotta see it. Someone take them off their rocker. Someone let me know that the MADBULLS are in fact human. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 2 more rounds of action, mayhem, and strategy await us in day 2 of the grand finals of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Females International Pro Championship. We'll be back at you in just a few short moments. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Round 5 of 6. It's going to be another rumble in the jungle. Can KR Lionesses honestly thrive in their natural environment, or will the Mad Bulls just continue the onslaught performance that today and yesterday have been? Well, with a flight path this opportune, it really, it's just nothing but drop options for the participants. Sorry about that. Drop options for the participants, but realistically, that is kind of the case regardless of the path. So really impossible to determine how that flight path is going to affect where people drop. So, yeah, see, case in point, we have HEARZ and MADBULLS who literally able to acquire the top west portion of the map from that flight path. Literally, you can get anywhere you want. All right, catching eyes on Major Pride. They are in relatively close proximity. Some of the members of Major Pride, relatively close proximity to ARTIC. And in particular, we got a Shiki, little dangerously close for comfort for a participant not having weapons or armor. She does have a melee, but that's it. Oh boy, with Melanie holding the boulder area, if she has a weapon and Ashiki is unaware of her... Oh, wow. Pardon me. If Saunders is unaware of her, pardon me. Sonder coming in with shots under the building. This is where practice makes perfect. Do you remember the first time you were knocked from underneath the pillars in a Sanhok match on this house? I remember. It was like 2018, and I was sure it was a hacker, but it wasn't. It was just that moment I realized you could. Melanie, oh goodness, a great takedown in the distance. And meanwhile, we got Major Pride putting the pressure outwards. Pardon me. Little bit of trouble there with the keyboard. There we go. With Melanie being taken down, it's going to put ARTIC down to Ashiki alone here. Realistically, she doesn't have any other teammates remaining. It is ARTIC being reduced down to half of their starting lineup. I'm okay with that, because if ARTIC Esports dropped hot, which I think that, I think they did try to drop alongside Major Pride, or at least try for that early confrontation. If not, then boy, bad luck happening to really the least deserving of bad luck right now. But ARTIC, hey, if you end up being taken out immediately because you tried to go after them, that is still worth it. There's nothing to lose. Now, if they don't know Ashiki's location, by all means, hang in there, and they're going to let her go. They never found her. Ashiki will carry on the team name for ARTIC for this round at least. All right. Well, the Bulls they've got more blood on the mind, and this time the victims that they have in sight are Victoria. I was calling her yesterday Victorious Victoria after that awesome grenade that she had in round 3 or 4. But these are the Mad Bulls, and one grenade while you're surrounded by 4 bulls ain't gonna cut it. Werita, I believe Werita may be on her own here. She is, but look, even her teammates are still feeling the pressure. Steve trying to provide some cover fire for Werita, but literally 3 feet separates her from a half-health Udaddy, and I don't blame Werita's skepticism on peeking it. Because if she did, Amaya, who's running through the open field, because why not? What could they lose? You can take Amaya, you can take all the Mad Bulls out immediately. You will not change the outcome of this event for them at all. The Mad Bulls, I expect to make some questionable plays here in these last 2 matches because they earned that right. Well, Werita thanking her lucky stars for that off angle that Scotty and Steve had. Little pre-fire around the corner, but ultimately the knock on Amaya is rendered useless if you're going to let only 2 members up frighten you from a push, then I don't really see the opportunities getting more better than that when you're up against MADBULLS. A 1v2 in MADBULLS is about one of the best case scenarios we've seen in quite a few matches. All right, I'm going to check out the rest of the playing field in a moment. But Scotty with the off angle, quick takedown on Ooh Daddy. Was it more than one? Did she get 2 of them? Oh no, it's only Oh Daddy down. And look at this, Scotty. Look at Amaya in one tap, aggressively pushing forward. Why not? With Amaya down, will it be a thirst? Not if one tap is quick on the push. One tap already got Scotty so quickly that I somehow blinked and missed it. That is impressive. Now look at this. Leora coming, cover firing for her fallen teammates, and really, they reduced HEARZ down to their final member, Steve. So yeah, Steve is bowing out of the confrontation, understandably so. And again, that intimidation factor has been well earned by the MADBULLS. I don't blame any participant for their hesitancy on pushing. I will say, though, you got to recognize the context of it being the last 2 matches of a 12-match grand final. If you are in the bottom 10 placing teams, just do it. Just do whatever you can to send a message. And, you know, if that is, in fact, what ARTIC was doing, even if you try and fail, it's still a positive in my book. Remember what I said earlier today? We don't improve on the days where we perform well. We improve the most on the days where we recognize we didn't perform well, or at least didn't perform our best. Now, look at the difference in strategy here between GOEXIA and Tres Ranchos. GOEXIA, you know, performing pretty darn well, all things considered, for a portion of the match, or of the day, but then having a bit of a rough change in the tides, and in that last match alone, we're taken down to 9th place. Now, don't get me wrong, we'll go over the overall standings the second we have a moment of downtime or a potential altercation not on our shoulders here, but goodness knows, it might not happen. Tell you what I'll do, just in the off chance that there is no downtime, because this gameplay has been next level, we'll just... Oh, here's what we'll do. Yeah! So now we're not missing everything here. We got MADBULLS working their way up to literally... Oh my goodness. The MADBULLS now more than double De Muerte's points. They doubled De Muerte plus 4 additional points. Look at Steve. Steve, wrong place, wrong time. About to be stuck in between a GOEXIA and 2 ranchos. 2 of the tres ranchos. Dos ranchos. And the ranchos have spoken, and it's Michelle sending Steve back to the lobby. All right, so anyways, more on these current standings. Pardon me, I think I may have just... Where did I... Okay, yeah. So we got De Muerte, 2nd place at 86, and they are only ahead of Major Pride by 5 points. Major Pride only leads Lioness by 6 points. Lioness only leads Control by 5. I mean, it is, after the first place positioning by MADBULLS, it really is a free-for-all for 2nd place. And one match could easily make the difference between 5th place position and 2nd. Look at this, Taro, the off angle paying off for GOEXIA, and that is another takedown for them. Quickly followed by a thirst. Unfortunately, they are playing a bit reserved here, even under the context of things. So while that is, great to get that elim, and they might very well make it to placement points, they would need a significant boost in elims to really, well, actually, no, they wouldn't. GOEXIA, they were knocked down 2 positions in their last match, and the reason being is because of how close the standings are in this bracket between 6th place and 9th. Just one more look-see at the current standings here. GOEXIA in 9th place at 44 points, literally only 4 points behind 5th place, and literally 11 points behind 4th place. So 4th to 9th place, literally only 11 points difference. One really good match could make a pretty significant difference in overall placement. We're going to take a look at Galactics. Galactics, once again, exercising a 2-1 split here. And this time, I'm not so sure that it's the right move. Why? Context is everything. When, yes, the Lionesses not performing at the #1 spot, but well within contention for that 2nd, 3rd place position. Not a team that you want to underestimate on their specialty map. And if you watched the Lionesses on day 1, you know what I'm talking about. It was a really impressive performance, both Sanhoks, and coming back in, first Sanhok of today, taking the 2nd or 3rd, actually 4th place position, I believe, but with a healthy number of elims, a really strong performance. Yeah, they very much thrive. The Lionesses very much thrive on Sanhok. And if you are a team like Galactics, you know, who maybe hasn't had the ideal day. I mean, Galactics, again, as I said, they're riding that equator line of the overall placement bracket. They stand at 10th place overall. Not sure this would be the team I would want to engage with. But again, this is match 11 of 12. So anything goes. Looks like what happens when you catch a bull in the water. Well, bulls aren't great swimmers, except for the sneaky water snake that is Ooh Daddy. But 2 members of MADBULLS picked off Amaya and One Tap in the water, almost making it to a position of safety where Oh Daddy was ready to provide some assistance, but all for naught. She had to come up for air. She didn't have a choice. But as close of a call as that was, remember, it wasn't too long ago that when you were knocked underwater, that was it. There was no swimming around after that. Ooh, look at the saving grace that is Leora. Clutch of all clutches. Right before Kawhi was about to have that oversight on Oh Daddy, who had to come up for air at some point. Boy, Leora came in and saves the day. Look at this. MADBULLS, even when you take them out, you can't take them out. If they continue on as a 2-piece with 4 elims, say they're eliminated now, whether or not they get another elim or are eliminated last place, next match, it's not gonna change the outcome of the overall winner for Ivy League Season 4, and they earned that. And no team here has let, you know, this be a walk away, an easy win. I mean, these teams have all performed at insane levels. It's just there is an outlier. Well, look here. GOEXIA and Tres Ranchos getting a little too zoned in on one another. And as you can see, it pans out against the favor of Taro of GOEXIA, as GTHESIS from the boot camp region able to get a distance takedown. Not like to be any thirst, but it could be beneficial for a team like, let's say, De Muerte, who has a high ground, or maybe even Galactics Ari here with this back angle. Ooh, oh, look at this. GOEXIA returning the favor. Anna just in the nick of time when literally it's all reliant upon her shoulders. She knocks who she needs to knock. And now Isa, who is sticking a revive. This should be why Anna did this, to use that opportunity to trade revives. I'm a little bit surprised that there was that hesitancy there. She could have definitely... And now she's allotted for her teammate Heroina to get third party. And now Taro is not like to be able to make it to Anna if De Muerte catches wind of it. And look, they are on the vulnerable side of De Muerte. All it's going to take is looking down the hill. Oh, I withdraw that. De Muerte was on the other side of the hill crest and did not see GOEXIA. So that actually makes a little bit more sense why Taro didn't carry Anna. No, there was nowhere she could carry her. I withdraw that too. This is literally stuck in between two rocks in a hard place. The rocks are rocks, and the hard places are De Muerte and Tres Ranchos and Silently. Well, I cast or cursed the Ranchos right there. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this says match 5 of 5, but we do have 6 matches. There's one more match ahead of us today to conclude the grand finals of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League for Season 4. Don't forget, North American Scrims is kicking up Season 5 literally, I believe, just at the end of the month, maybe? I'll have to double check and clarify with that on the intermission, but I believe Season 5 has already been announced and the dates have already been released. So, plenty to look forward to in the future of Ivy League. And if anyone isn't aware of what Miss Mel, aka Mommy, has done for the North American Scrim community over the past couple years, organizing just countless phenomenal community events, then you absolutely should. She is a very, very significant portion of the NAS foundation. It's not a foundation, NAS org, and just does countless things for this community. Be sure to let her know how much you appreciate Ivy League and events like this. Keep community events alive in the esports scene. We got Galactics Bree facing off against the Witchers, and oh, it's a major pride third party. Can Bree get full advantage of this? It looks like they pick it off Miami as well. Bree securing a thirst, but turning her back on the final Witcher, and to a lot for that positioning. When she did account for the final Witcher, she had her back turned to the Lionesses. Stuck in between so many bad positions here. GOEXIA facing off with De Muerte, and Taro is down and out for the count. Oof, almost sealing the deal. They got a knock-on kiss and almost finished Mateshe, but not quite able to finish it, and close is no cigar in PUBG Mobile Esports. We got BBL of the Witchers tossing a molly upwards towards the Lionesses, but Hate Me potentially gonna catch an off angle, attempting for a vehicle explosion knock, not quite hitting the mark, but BBL is at half health, definitely worth the attempt. But with Hasiko and Hate Me maybe even pulling downhill rotations, it does leave them awfully vulnerable to another threat, the most significant threat that I would think is the MADBULLS. They have the highest ground. They have Overwatch over the whole playing field. This is, once again, the MADBULLS getting the prime real estate, and no one wants to contest with them because they're afraid of that altercation. Look at De Muerte's kiss, another blind rage push here. And this time, it does not pan out in her favor. But, you know, honestly, you know, in the last 2 matches, I like to see those blind fury plays. I don't know if it's the best idea for a team like De Muerte to be doing when, you know, they literally only hold the second place positioning by 5 points. But yeah, and especially with Major Pride still in the equation, that may not have been the best time for a De Muerte push, but still. All right, we got Satanova on the alt cam. Last hope for her team here, unless Rose can somehow find a way into the shack. Meanwhile, one tap on the main cam, getting another one in the kill feed. Look at this, MADBULLS, 11 elims. 11, and 10 of their elims are from the players still remaining up. Now, looks like MADBULLS could face a little bit of trouble if they're not careful here, because the Lionesses are stalking, but Leora and Oodaddy just so comfortable under pressure, so comfortable in solo settings as well as, you know, in any situation as a team unit. One teammate, 2 teammates, all teammates. And everyone else feels that pressure too. And so even though Lionesses had a real opportunity with that push, the Mad Bulls are just not letting off the steam. And we are down to 3 teams remaining, 2 solos and a 3-piece of the Mad Bulls. You know, the team that could have been eliminated first out with 0 elims and still won the event, continuing to make it an absolute onslaught for the playing field, outnumbering both teams. Saint Nova just wants to stay alive. She is saying, I'll hang out in the dead zone and try to heal strat. Sithu can only be alive for a few more moments at best. And oh, she does get a knock. Ooh, Daddy's down, and she does. Sithu took a massive amount of damage there, though. That jump over was yep, that ended up leaving Leora pretty vulnerable there, and Saint Nova capitalized, getting the knock, but ultimately the blue zone does what the blue zone does. And a couple years back, I commentated the Trovo Invitational, and one of my co-commentators, Pickford, said something that I say in every single event that I commentate since. I don't care who you are, what tier you're at, if you're you know, some average Joe Smo or your Maya O'Daddy one-tapper Leora of Mad Bulls. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has a higher KD than that blue zone, especially in a late stage. I mean, the heal strat, hey, it has won so many esports events that I've lost count. Not the most exciting, but it's always going to have a place in PUBG Mobile esports, even with the shift towards more emphasis on elimination. But ultimately, the blue zone ended up being what took Saint Nova out, not even able to secure the thirst. The Bulls have run away with Ivy League Season 4, and this time, with the confidence skyrocketing at an all-time high, 16 points in elimination, 16 kills. To put it in perspective, that's literally only 4 off from taking out 25% of the playing field themselves. Now, add in a first-place chicken dinner, 10 placement points to the mix. That's a 26-point gain from a team that already doubled second place's points. Major Pride, coming in second here. Now, this is significant. Why? Because De Muerte, prior to this, coming into this match, only led Major Pride in second place by 5 points. With this, Major Pride gains a 16-point gain from this match alone, and that is certainly going to bring them above De Muerte, unless De Muerte just put out a monstrous amount of elimination. 6 elims. 6 elims is not going to be enough to alleviate the gain that Major Pride made. So after this match, Major Pride has reclaimed silver, but with De Muerte at their heels, match 6, only one 30-minute match left of Ivy League Season 4. One last chance to leave that mark on the playing field and change the overall placements. Will Major Pride be able to hold on to silver, or will De Muerte deal out the Muerte onto him? Well, stick around, because we'll be back for round 6 of 6, round 12, technically, of the Grand Finals, Day 2 of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League, brought to you and sponsored by Tencent and North American Scrims. We'll be back at you in just a few short moments. Alrighty, we are here. It all boils down to one last match where it all began, where PUBG Mobile began in the heart of Erangel. And everything we need to say about this map we've said for years, but by far this is the map our participants should be most comfortable and most rehearsed on. And not really a better way to end and conclude the event than the exact same way it began. Now, let's go ahead and have a look at what sort of flight path we were working with. Honestly, the best possible flight path scenario for our participants in match 12 of 12 here. I almost perfectly centralized one, leaving nothing but drop spot opportunities and real estate options. So I think what we'll do is zoom in just a little closer. It looks like potentially we might end up getting a little contestation between Major Pride and Tres Ranchos, potentially in the Rozhawk region. It looks like Control going to be occupying Pachinki all to themselves, not going to have anyone to contest with for that. It does look like there might be some congestion in the southwestern portion, just outside of the Ferry Pier range, and yeah, I'm going to withdraw that statement too, because multiple teams just continuing to pass. But let's take notice of one thing. Oh, I was like, why is it not zooming in? Okay, take notice of one thing here. I'm going to go ahead and back on this screen. Goodness gracious. I'm trying so hard here. My whole point that I was trying to make as I adjusted the wrong device is look at the spread of MADBULLS here. We've got Leora on the far western edge. We got One Tap actually about to be in the thick of it. We're going to tune into One Tap's perspective here. Daddy at least 200 meters north, and Amaya 200 meters off to the east. This is a spread out MADBULLS, and I am here for it. Why not? I mean, they are so... There's nothing for them to lose at this point. They could just try to solo squad for themselves for the entirety of the match, just for the fun of it. And it won't change the outcome for them a bit. That is so rare in PUBG Mobile esports. Well, as so rare as it is, we've seen it before, even at, you know, realistically, the global level. We've seen it. But it is so rare that is the case for a final match determinant. But looks here like we got eyes on GOEXIA, who is about to be pushed potentially by Major Pride. It seems like Major Pride might even be going for a bridge rotation here. Yeah, it does seem like that. Yeah, they're not interested in making any stops in to the city per se. They are more about getting new positioning inside this shifted zone, and understandably why. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a absolute action-packed match. With that much water, there is nowhere to hide. All right, let's get into the action as ARTIC Esports' Melanie putting out a spray towards the Lionesses and taking Hasiko about 1/4 of his health down. Still at about 75% health. Not like to get the thirst at this point, but leaving herself open for the picking for Karmzy, the Lioness teammate with the off-angle positioning. Well, Karmzy may have given up her positioning as well as a result of that thirst. But we're about to find out. Realistically, Karmzy's not even affording that luxury, but there are more immediate lions to worry about. For instance, Hate Me driving right by 77K, and not a single bullet fired outward. And this is ARTIC Esports, you know, who has literally, they could not, if they were eliminated in this match, they would not, right now, it would not change their overall standings much. They have nothing to lose. They, should be the ones playing these hyper-aggressive plays. Now, the Lioness has quite a bit to lose, but they are comfortable in the confrontation. And Carmsy is showing it right here and now, driving like a bat out of hell while Hiseko cover fires, switching quickly to the Vector, no extended mag. And Hate Me taking out 77 just like that, and continuing this aggressive push towards her opponents, Archie and Ashiki of ARTIC ESPORTS. Oh my goodness. Wow, that candle is burning bright. That is a perfect nade if there ever was one. But that ended up making Hate Me a little too aggressive on that push, and a few moments waiting may have given her a more assistance. Regardless, her teammates were so close by that they were able to alleviate that basically immediately. Well, De Muerte, Kiss has been given the kiss of death, all the while Galactics and Control having at it in the distance. We're going to pull that up on the alt cam. We're not going to miss a bit of the action here when RedEyes commentates, ladies and gents. We got Virgo getting the takedown on Galactics J, looking like she was going to push towards the Thirst, but realistically her teammates are there to finish the job. Looks like Melita of De Muerte is the one who got the close takedowns, and Matesha holding the off angle all the way back from bridge and still managing to provide some overwatch for her team. Now, De Muerte driving away, and GOEXIA does not fire a single shot outwards. Interesting. All right. Tuning in to the remainder of Galactics. Now, we know Jay's knocked, so it's Bree and Mel, and now Bree is swallowing a healthy calorie dinner of bullets and being shot down to below half health, now down to 15% of her health marker, and ultimately explodes the vehicle. And while this may look ridiculous to a lot of people, it kind of is, for sure. I don't know if it was intentional, but if it was, I think it would be to stop the opposition from being able to secure the Thirst with a vehicle explosion. Meaning that she's saying, yeah, I might be eliminated from the match, but I am not giving another point to an enemy. Well, Melly is out. The Galactics gave it their best effort, but Control had that in control, even as a two-piece of Leo, Mary, and Lady. Well, no time to waste, ladies and gents. We got Silently off in the distance, chipping away at Tres Ranchos as we speak in the outskirts of Watertown. We'll get both sides of that up. We've got Gelavaya of Silently holding position out in the dead zone. Kitty is knocked. Rizova, Galavaya, and Anissa remain. Oh, sorry about that. I had perspective on the same person there. But looks like Anissa pulling a off-angle rotation to try to catch GTHESIS off guard. It looks like it may have even been an attempt to thwart a Thirst from her fallen teammate. But regardless, the off angle is acquired. As you can see here on the alt feed, she is getting significant shots and a takedown on J8 right then and there. Look, Gelavaya and her teammate stuck, pinched here in between two ranchos. And actually, three ranchos. Tres ranchos. We got Michelle and Isa on one side, and a little bit of a preemptive push by their third, bringing Tres Ranchos actually down to 3 members. Now they are living up to the name. Meanwhile, here's esports going off in the distance. I saw that we had some people cheering for Here's in the chat, so here you have it. Steve on the alt cam, and Victoria laying out a hurtin' onto this GOEXIA member, Veronica, but ooh! Heroina, pardon me, but Heroina actually even lower on health, able to take down a GOEXIA member before Victoria gets the off angle. Now it's all reliant on Steve. Tell you what, we're going to tune in to Steve's perspective here on the main cam as she makes her final stand against GOEXIA. Meanwhile, I gotta pull it up. The big bad bulls and the lionesses preparing for an altercation. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to switch to that. I'm sorry. This is, everyone's gonna wonder about it if I don't. I will switch back to this one on the alt feed. Kawhi putting a hurtin'. She does get a takedown. Control coming in on the alt feed, but it looks like they are out of the thick of it. So we're coming back to this standoff where MADBULLS and Lionesses are having at it with one another. But if you look at this map, Control has a real opportunity for a third party if it weren't for Carmsy expecting it. All right, tell you what, let's get a perspective from the MADBULLS. We got Amaya holding the sniper tower, but with the Lionesses literally stalking their prey. We've got Hasiko just patrolling the outskirts of that sniper tower. And one tap does not allow it. One tap could not have lived up to her name any more than that. That was a one tap from full health down to nothing, aka a DVS in a nutshell. Hate me providing out a little bit of hate there, getting a quick knock and thirst retaliatory. Ooh, the Lioness is giving it a good shot, but one tap is just putting out a punishment zone. Now that's gonna put the Lionesses down to half of their starting lineup. It's down to Kawaii and Carmsy. Kawaii keeping the pressure on as Hasiko tries to crawl to a geographical cover, at least maybe go over that hill crest to at least be out of the line of sight of a thirst. Realistically, if MADBULLS allows Hasiko to be revived, it would be probably more out of just like, hey, let's have some fun with it, or let's bait Hasiko into pulling Kawaii out. Look at Kawaii! Kawaii! She just, oh my goodness, she just took out O'Daddy with the low ground disadvantage, and O'Daddy getting the first shot there. But Amaya does not allow for any celebration time. As soon as O'Daddy realized, oh, I got her, well, she gets taken down in retaliation. Now Carmsy is feeling that pressure. Going underwater and potentially, she is trying to swim across the bridge rather than take this fight on with MADBULLS. And there's good reason for the Lionesses to do this with them holding this kind of positioning right now. Just so we are clear, let's go have a quick look-see with this moment of downtime at the current standings after match 5. So MADBULLS, literally, pardon me, this is incorrect. My apologies. I don't know why this is reading these points, but the points are very incorrect. But regardless, they do hold a pretty strong position where surviving and getting the placement points in this final match could absolutely be a difference maker in their overall placement. Oh, she did correct it. Okay. I see. So, we're going to try that one again. Let me just download the image here, and we'll be showing the overall scores as they currently stand here. Yeah, all right. So here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. MADBULLS not just doubling, literally 110 point or 109 point lead over second place. That is disgusting. But Major Pride only 1 point away in the lead. Pardon me about that. Well, MADBULLS, all the caster curses are real. And now, with Amaya down for the count, it's going to all be reliant upon O'Daddy and One Tap. One Tap, quick to try to drive to assist her fallen teammate Amaya, but realizes that there is a bit of outlier pressure from Control Esports. So, matter of fact, let's catch eyes on Leo Mary on this push. Look at this. Carmsy is holding the back end of the bridge. This could be the chance to at least take the MADBULLS out before they win another first place. Maybe you could stop them before they get placement points. Regardless, MADBULLS would still be sitting on 3 elims, but oh man, O'Daddy, lady says no. Look at the aggression from Control Esports. They don't care. They said, I don't care if we get this. Look at Leo Mary got her with the nade the moment she was brought back to life, sent back down. Now look, One Tap is probably not expecting Lady here, but Lady's probably not expecting Carmsy of Lioness down at the lower end of the bridge either. So this could this surprise attack here from Lady could ultimately end up leaving her vulnerable to a Lioness killsteal. Look at her put in a onslaught of bullets, just a thunderstorm of bullets outwards, and it's still not enough to get the vehicle explosion. One tap is gonna be in hot. Yeah, we got a hot pursuit, high-speed car chase, ladies and gentlemen. Suspect is driving a gold and black Bugatti, and ultimately, no! Well, you know what? I'm gonna say this. It almost seemed like the last toxic move that MADBULLS could do. Eliminate themselves, not give any of those elim points to another team. I know that that's not intentional. What happened was not intentional. And if there was ever a match for it to happen, the final match where they could not potentially lose anything here, that's a good one. But wow. All right, well, Melita de Muerte, she just wrecks into Galavaya, and what she started, Matesha of De Muerte finished in full form. And now we are left with a melee zone in-game. 24 people remain spread across 8 teams, but realistically, it's a pretty decently sized zone right now. But now the shift happens any second. Boom. The shift favoring De Muerte. They're going to have to worry about the threat of XNINE. We're going to have both angles up on both feeds. De Muerte will be on the primary feed, as they stand to lose quite a bit if they are eliminated here. Remember, De Muerte came into this match 1 point behind Major Pride. Oh, but Major Pride is still a full 4-person team. Yeah, De Muerte can't afford to be taken out here. And looks like Xena able to get a takedown on X9's Johanna right after securing her first elim of the match, getting her second knock. Now De Muerte ready to utilize a spread out 2-1 split aggressive in-game tactic here. And yeah, this, I don't know how I feel, actually. I was going to agree with it, and now I'm starting to have second thoughts. Because if Major Pride, literally, they have less elims, they have 3 less elims currently than De Muerte, but if Major Pride gets even 2 slots of higher placement and De Muerte does not get additional elims, I think it could be enough for Major Pride to maintain the second place position. But if De Muerte is even 1 slot behind... Oh, well, Control just lost control in the distance, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we got a full team of the Witchers coming in, ready for an in-game pounce. But the Witchers playing it a very reserved first, 3 stages of the match, which, why? Why in the very last match of the event when there's nothing to lose? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the Witchers are currently at 6th place overall. They actually bumped themselves up the bracket quite a bit. And so, yeah, the Witchers are, what they're doing here makes plenty of sense too. Realistically, actually, you know what? I hate to keep counterpointing myself, but there is a significant gap between the Witchers and Control Esports. But with Control out of the equation now, and the Witchers still with 3 members up, they do have a shot here at least bumping themselves up to a 5th place overall position. Anything past that would require basically eliminating everyone else on the playing field. All right, we're going to tune over to De Muerte. Actually, we're going to tune in to GTHESIS versus De Muerte. We got 911 here on the alt cam. Looks like Lady of Control Esports on the main cam in trouble with the Witchers, but yeah, she makes her escape. We'll pull up 911 and GTHESIS on the alt, and we'll get, or the main, and we'll get De Muerte on the alt feed with Melita on the screen cam for alt feed right now. 911 pushing up towards her utility in hand, trying to get an easy preliminary knock before even risking peeking her face. Matesha, boy, what a risky push over, though. Almost timed it up in the worst possible way, but not so. Matesha preparing a retaliatory nade, and looks like Major Pride coming up to join the party, pulling him up in the alt feed as Sonder holds position in the field, but utilizing the geographical divot here. Little bits of cover fire afforded here before pulling a flank rotation. And wow, this is actually a very risky move. And now we're seeing Saunders drive by on the... Oh, that's Zombie. Okay, we're going to have to get it from Zombie's perspective, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Zombie. A belly bandit. Putting herself down to the prone zone here. And just laying low, trying to let the numbers dwindle here. Because remember, at this point, it's placement point gains for every team eliminated. So every team that eliminates, that you can out-survive is serious point gains. Well, Zombie is playing fairly risky here. No question that the positioning in this current outlying zone is in favor of GTHESIS, even though the zone is set to shift away from them. But with Zombie and De Muerte and Major Pride all out in more vulnerable positions, I mean, I guess it could be if GTHESIS has the meds to outweight them, then it could be picking them off like fish in a barrel. As I say that, I caster curse him, and GTHESIS loses a member. All the while, Zombie with the riskiest rotation of the day, and it pays off in spades as she gets a knock on Bazoomi God, bringing Major Pride down to Rose and Satanova and Sonder. But a three-piece of Major Pride is still a risky push for a solo from DSK. And, yep, Sonder just casually steps on top of the hill, gives it a moment, looks down at Zombie like, are you crazy? And then quick finish. Matesha with some finishes of her own, now engaging with the remainder of GTHESIS. At this point, we got 649 and 649 alone. But she is holding her position strong here and not significantly out. Well, I take that back. She is significantly outnumbered. 3-1 by one of the most aggressive teams on the map. Not an ideal position. Add to it that there is Major Pride here right behind her. It could be problematic. It could also be her saving grace if Major Pride does what they're doing right now and engages with De Muerte. That could be 649's coin in the back pocket. That last little stroke of luck. If one of those top two performing teams, or I guess top four performing teams, eliminates the other, that is a significant point boost for 649 alone, who has a solo. Realistically, you know, she's not expecting to squad wipe De Muerte per se. Oh, but this is going to pay off for her if she's got the meds. All right, in-game is here, ladies and gentlemen. Last in-game of the zone, and can 649 make it into this new zone? She fires from the dead zone, almost ensuring that she does not. But you know what? To heck with it. I think I get it. I think there's plenty of reasoning. GTHESIS they didn't make up for the slack as significantly today as they were hoping to. So I don't think that was really a bad go for 649, especially if she was low on meds, to just go for that spray and pray, try to get a knock and a thirst before either Major Pride gets the finish or the blue zone does what the blue zone does. But hey, for once, the Bulls did not win. And Major Pride has something to feel a little prideful about as the second place. You know, they've been so stuffed full with second place positions, just chocked full of silver. And so a little gold in the equation, even if it's the last match of the event, even if it's not going to change the overall standings for Major Pride, a little gold at the end of the day is a nice way to end the event. I mean, phenomenal performance from Major Pride throughout the event. Phenomenal. There just was an outlier, and that was the MADBULLS. But in comparison to the entire other remaining playing field, which is still 14 other teams, Tier 1 professional teams, yeah, Major Pride has set their tone for this Season 4 of Ivy League, and especially moving forward into Season 5. GTHESIS, talk about, a strong finish. Even if you're not out for an aggressive, kill-intensive finish, getting those placement points, when you're only 2 points behind 8th, they only trailed Tres RANCHOS by 2 points. So this is a smart move to get this second place positioning. They are bumping themselves up to the top 8 bracket in terms of overall concluding placement. It has a purpose. De MUERTE, another top performing team, a 3rd place finish, kind of in line with their performance throughout the entirety of these finals, but doing so with a very healthy 7 elims, a 3rd place finish. That's like 7 or 6 placement points to add on to it. It's a strong finish. Well, only time will tell what those overall standings are, and we'll be back at you in just a few short moments to go over those overall scores as they are at the conclusion of the event. Stick around. We're going to be back at you just literally maybe a minute or two to wrap things up. Be back soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion here has arrived. I have the results. I feel like I'm Maury. I said that yesterday, but when it comes to Season 4 of PUBG Mobile's Ivy League, MADBULLS, you are the mother. Goodness gracious. What an absolute powerhouse performance here. But give credit to Major Pride, because Major Pride stopped MADBULLS from saying we literally doubled the point dispersal, the point dispersion of second place and beyond. Before this match, MADBULLS not only doubled second place, but doubled plus 5 or 6 points. Or actually 4 points. But at least Major Pride able to stick to their guns all too literally, and they do have a pride factor. And you know what? They got a lot to be proud of. Literally, these are some of the best professional PUBG Mobile players, and this is the kind of the cream of the crop in terms of competition. So being able to hold a strong second place position is huge. It's absolutely huge. GTHESIS, strong, way to finish the event as well. But when it's all said and done, MADBULLS stole the event and turned it into a bloodbath. The Ivy Leaves are drenched in blood of 15 other teams, but de MUERTE, this really was a battle for second place between Lioness, de MUERTE, and Major Pride. And Major Pride definitely did not allot themselves to make any last-minute errors. I know what I said, leave it all out on the playing field if you are in the bottom 10 bracket. But if you are contesting for second or third place and you're literally only 1 or 2 points away, there's a reason to make sure you make that in game. And so good on them. De MUERTE getting a third place overall, third place in the final match, I think it's pretty fitting. The Lionesses definitely weren't able to maximize on Sanhok the way they were on day one, but I think that can really, you can look at it and say, okay, yes, maybe they didn't perform quite as successfully as day one, but there is something to be said about that performance on day one. It shows just what they are capable of. Now, at this level of competition, when money's on the line, if you don't think that there's a pressure factor or a panic factor in the mix, well, there is. But regardless, I think that especially in terms of a team like Major Pride, there's a panic factor for 15 other teams on the playing field. But for a team like Major Pride to stick to their guns, stick to what they know works, and they were consistent as all get out. So is de MUERTE. But when there is a 100-point lead, you can't help but I mean, I can't say anything without sounding biased there, but it was a very special event. You don't get to see something like this with this kind of outlier quite so frequently. So thank you to all the participants who really gave their full heart into this. And MADBULLS, thank you for a popcorn and just absolute popcorn performance. This was something special. This was a treat. And ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't catch my name or the shirt, I'm RedEyes, and it has been an absolute honor and a pleasure getting to cast Season 4 of the PUBG Mobile Ivy League Female Professional Women's International Tournament, brought to you and sponsored by Tencent and North American Scrims. Be sure to give Mommy Mel some lovin' because she puts these events on, organizes these, and often people may not even know, but often, a lot of these prize pools are out of her own pocket because of a love for community tournaments and a love for this community. So be sure to send some of that love right on back to her and let her know how much you appreciate community tournaments and how much you appreciate Ivy League. Huge shout out for PUBG Mobile for, helping out with these sponsorships and keeping community tournaments alive. But yeah, this has been an absolute bonkers event. Season 4 has been insane, and I can't wait to see what Season 5 brings. Whether I'm commentating or not, I will be here with my nose glued to that screen if the action and gameplay is anything like we saw the past 2 days. I'm RedEyes. I'll see y'all in the next one. GG's.